Many things to do and see here at Daytona, USA. It is indeed the ultimate motorsports attraction. Benny and I are here as we host this NASCAR marathon for you, and we just completed that incredible North Wilkesboro race. Do you think that Dale Earnhardt was a little angry?
Just can you try that call one more time?
I don't think so.
I don't think you could ever do that again as long as you live. Yeah, he was a little bit angry because he was trying to win a championship. If he had finished in first, he would have gone on the next race with the lead in the championship, but instead he finishes 10th and Rusty Wallace retains the lead.
And there's quite an irony here when you talk about the 1988 and 89 battles for the championship at Atlanta.
In 1988, Bill Elliott goes to Atlanta trying to win the championship. We told you he did win, but Rusty Wallace was second place. He was trying to catch Elliott. He did everything he could. He sat on the pole, I think, led most laps, dominated the race, won the race, and Elliott struggled all day, finished 11th or something like that, wins the championship. And Rusty was vocal that Elliott didn't race me. I did everything I could. He didn't race me. In 1989, they go to Atlanta, almost exactly the same situation, only Rusty Wallace is leading Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt goes to Atlanta, dominates the race, wins the race, and Rusty struggled all day long, finished 15th or something, but did, in fact, win the championship. This year, Jeff Gordon in 1997, Jeff Gordon goes to Atlanta trying to win a championship. Folks, that mindset, when you go to having to finish a race to win a championship, it's just guaranteed the car is not going to run well.
All right, let's move ahead now to April of 1990. And yes, for you short track fans, we are not going to forget about Bristol Motor Speedway. It's always one of the most incredible races that we cover during the year. We cover one, of course, in the spring and in the fall. This is from April of 1990. Several significant things before we go into the race itself. First of all, Michael Waltrip was coming off one of the most incredible crashes I have ever seen in the Busch race the day before.
I've never seen anything like it. I was working the pits on Saturday, and there was a big crash on the backstretch. I started running around there to get the story to report, and Dale Inman grabbed me as I walked by him, as I ran by him. He said, "You don't want to go back there," because he had seen that crash on top of a truck. But when I went back there and looked at that car, it was absolutely, folks, the most unbelievable crash I've ever seen in my life. And in 10 minutes later, I talked to Michael Waltrip.
That's right, and he was well enough to race in this race on Sunday. Now, Phil Parsons is filling in for Harry Gant, whose father died, and Dale Jarrett is substituting for Neil Bonnet, who was injured in a crash. So let's go now to April of 1990 and Bristol Motor Speedway. 36 degrees and 1/2 mile of pure torture.
Well, it's kind of like going down your world's wildest roller coaster. You're going straight ahead, wide open. All of a sudden, that thing goes straight up and does one of those loops. Toughest part of this track is coming out of the fourth turn and trying to stay out of the wall.
Trying, very trying, physically, mentally, emotionally, and mechanically.
If you're able to avoid an accident, it's more luck than skill.
She forgives no one, as her drama can unfold without warning. She can turn winners to losers, turn skill to luck, and turn race cars to rubble. She's fast, furious, and there's only one, Bristol. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today, live from Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee, the Valleydale Meets 500 Winston Cup race. A beautiful day in the Halston Mountains where the Blue Ridge meet the Smokies. We have clear skies and very pleasant temperatures. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Bristol International Raceway. Last weekend, we were at the track Too Tough to Tame, Darlington, and today an equally as tough racetrack. And that was certainly demonstrated yesterday during the running of the Grand National Budweiser 250. Watch the left side of your screen as Michael Waltrip's car hits the end of a cement wall, part of a gate through which passenger cars go to the infield. The car disintegrates upon impact. Somewhere in the debris and the rubble sits Michael Waltrip. The crowd is hushed. Rescuers rush to the car, fearing the worst, that Michael is seriously, if not fatally, injured. They begin to pull away what was the bodywork of the Pontiac Grand Prix. Personally, I was certain that no one could have survived such a horrifying crash as this. Among those concerned, Michael Waltrip's older brother, a race driver himself, Darrell.
I was standing looking right at it, and I couldn't move. I mean, I just froze. I never seen anything like that in my life. The car just disintegrated, and I knew he was in it. And I thought he was hurt. But I walked up there, and the car is gone. Everything's gone, and the roll cage is all bowed up. And I looked at him. He looked up at me and winked. So, Mom, Dad, he's a Waltrip. He's got a pretty hard head.
A huge round of applause as Michael Waltrip walks away from the crash virtually uninjured. Well, Dr. Jerry Punch, you've been around racing for many years as a broadcaster and as a doctor. Have you ever seen such a horrifying crash in your career?
No, I haven't, Bob. In fact, in 2 decades that I've been covering racing as a physician and a commentator, I've never seen a more violent impact than what happened here yesterday afternoon. And believe it or not, the young man is back at the track today. He was kept overnight at Bristol Regional Medical Center, discharged at 8 o'clock this morning, and is here in the race car, ready to race at Bristol. Now, let's find out, Mike, how do you feel, big guy?
I feel pretty good, Jerry. You know, I'm a little bit sore, but other than that, I feel great, really. I think I can go all day today. Bristol's pretty rough on your neck physically, so we got Larry Pearson standing by. If I happen to give up part of the way through, he'll do me a good job in relief, I'm sure.
Now, the rumor this morning in the driver's meeting, the guys were kidding you a little bit, that with your luck, that you wanted to stop the helicopter on the way to the hospital and buy some lottery tickets.
Well, I'd tell you what, I didn't realize when I left here the significance of the wreck. In fact, I asked my car owner, Chuck Ryder, I said, do you think we can fix that thing, you know, and get her ready to run again? And I said, because I didn't hit nothing with the back, I just hit with the front. And he said, no, I don't believe we can fix it. And when I saw it on TV last night, I know why everybody was so scared. It scared me, and you know, I just think the Lord spared me for some reason.
Indeed he did. This guy has to count his blessings. In fact, the only major scratches were right here on the Kool-Aid man on the backside of his helmet. Michael is A-OK and ready to race today. But he certainly has to feel fortunate. Isn't that right, Benny Parsons?
Jerry, thank goodness stock car racing accidents don't get any worse than that one yesterday Michael Waltrip had. And he was able to walk away from it. And that's all the racing fraternity has been talking about overnight was Michael's accident. And there's one guy that's thrilled to death they're talking about something else than besides himself. Ernie Irvin and Ken Schrader at Darlington last week got together, and 10 cars involved in an accident. Here's what they had to say about it.
I didn't know that Ernie was 10 down. I don't know what Ernie was doing up there 10 down. We got a gentleman's agreement that you let the guys 1 down get up there in the front, but a lot of the gentleman's agreement stuff we've got's been going out the window even since I just got here in the last 5 years because there's too much involved. A lot of cutthroat stuff going on now, you know, to get a position or something like that. But, yeah, I'd do it again. It was not my place leading the race to back down. It was not my place at all. I'm leading the race, I'm setting the pace. I'm going to run as hard as I can. And, you know, if he thinks it's that important to be 9 instead of 10 laps down, well, that's what he's got to figure out. But I'd have done the same thing again.
You know, I couldn't blame that wreck on anybody but myself. There's a lot of situations that go on in racing, and we were definitely, you know, we would put 4 tires on and thought, you know, we could maybe make 3 or 4 laps up during the day and still salvage a decent finish out of the race. And just, you know, it bit us, and shouldn't do it. And that's one of those things you got to look back on and learn everything. That's where you get your experience at. And you know, a lot of people paid the price on it, and we feel real bad about that.
And Ned, Neil Bonnet was the only driver injured in the accident. He's home this week in Alabama recuperating from injuries.
And we'll have more on Neil's condition a little bit later on from Dr. Jerry Punch. You know, if Ernie Irvin learned something there last week, Benny, he put it to good use here because he won the pole for the Valleydale Meets 500, and he's going to have to draw on that experience even more if he's going to win his first ever Winston Cup race, which he has a good shot at here today. Now, one fellow who has drawn on experience, he has plenty of it on these tough racetracks, and has learned to conquer them, is Dale Earnhardt, the current Winston Cup point leader. He snaked through that wreck last week at Darlington, went on to win for his 2nd Winston Cup victory in a row. He has won 5 of the last 10 races here at the Bristol International Raceway, so certainly he has learned to conquer the high banks here, and they can be tough. For more on the high banks, let's go down to trackside and Dr. Dick Berggren, the editor of the Stock Car Racing magazine.
At 36 degrees, Bristol's banks are the steepest in Winston Cup racing. They put an awesome amount of pressure on both the driver and the car, about 2.5 G's down and almost as much side loading. So much side loading, in fact, the drivers wear helmet straps. They wear neck braces to try to keep their heads from rolling over, and special braces on the sides of their heads. They also exercise, get in condition just for this one race. The track isn't too tough on engines, but boy, it sure is tough on chassis. If anything's going to break in a race car, this is the place that's going to break it. And one of the challenges of Bristol is that the groove moves around. Now, yesterday in the Busch Grand National race, the groove was down here. It was low. But as the race wore on, the groove came up here, way up high on the racetrack. And when the race was all done and over with, no less than Rusty Wallace, who won this race last year, was up here with you and me on his hands and knees trying to figure out where the groove was going to be this afternoon at the end of the race. And just above this groove, some fresh sealer that nobody has run into, a no man's land. And anybody who gets up there is going to be on his knees for sure and into the wall.
32 cars are set to go for 500 laps of Winston Cup racing on this Sunday afternoon from Bristol, Tennessee. Winston Cup racing this afternoon from Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee, the Valleydale Meets 500. You can see the sun glistening off the field on pit road. A beautiful day here in eastern Tennessee, and now let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's race. On the pole, his first in Winston Cup competition, it's the 6th pole winner of the year, Ernie Irvin from Modesto, California. He'll drive the number 4 Kodak Film Oldsmobile. Outside of row number 1 will be Jeff Bodine from Chemung, New York, and the number 11 Budweiser Ford. Starting in the second row, Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas, and the number 6 Folgers Ford. And on the outside of row number 2 from Randleman, North Carolina, in the number 42 Peak Pontiac, it's Kyle Petty. Starting in the 5th position from Columbia, Tennessee, the Sunoco Ultra Oldsmobile number 94, driven by Sterling Marlin. And on the outside of the 3rd row from Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin, the Phillips 66 Pontiac, driven by Dick Trickle. The 4th row, Morgan Shepherd in car number 15, the Motorcraft Ford, and Rick Mast in the number 2 Raven Boats Pontiac. Going to row number 5, it's Dale Earnhardt and Darrell Waltrip, a combined 18 Bristol wins in row number 5. The 6th row, Bill Elliott and Dale Jarrett substituting for Neil Bonnet. The 7th row, Ricky Rudd in number 5 and Terry Labonte in car number 1. The 8th row has Bobby Hillen in number 8 and the 71 car of Dave Marcus. Ken Schrader will start inside of row number 9 in car number 25 and Brett Bodine outside in number 26. The 10th row has Davey Allison in number 28 and Michael Waltrip in number 30. Michael coming back from that horrifying crash yesterday in Grand National competition. As you take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, you will note that some very tough drivers are starting in the rear of the field. For instance, Rusty Wallace in number 27, the defending Winston Cup champion, starts from the inside of row number 12. And there is the rest of the starting lineup. 32 cars are set to go here for 500 laps of competition. Now we have some in-car cameras that will be providing some hopefully excellent pictures for you this afternoon. There's the in-car camera provided by Dick Trickle, the Tropotic Phillips 66 in-car camera as he warms up the tires. We also have an in-car camera with Michael Waltrip, the Maxwell House Country Time Pontiac. He's lined up behind Brett Bodine there in the Quaker State Buick. And then Phil Parsons, who will carry our in-car camera. We have the camera mounted on his helmet, as we did last week with Harry Gant. It's mounted on the left side of the helmet that Phil Parsons will be wearing this afternoon, and he is substituting for Harry Gant, whose father passed away late last week and whose funeral is this afternoon. Our condolences to the Gant family. Let's go down for a quick update with Jerry Punch on Neil Bonnet. Jerry?
Well, Bob, Neil Bonnet is home in Bessemer, Alabama, and he is recovering bit by bit every day. He's learning little bits and pieces here of what's happening. He doesn't recall specifically what happened on the day of the race at Darlington, but he is getting better, and that's the good news. I've talked to Susan Bonnet, Neil's wife, and she certainly appreciates all the letters and phone calls, but it's been pretty tough for her to answer them all. But suffice it to say, he is improving. Now, Neil did not hit anything in the car, best we can tell. The Wood brothers behind me have surveyed the inside of the car, not seeing any contact with the roll bar or the dash. The helmet he was wearing has been examined by Bill Simpson and does not seem to be intact. There are no scratches on the helmet or no impact. Apparently, in the accident, when he contacted Sterling Marlin's car, his head went forward and backward sort of a whiplash type injury, and that's what allowed the brain to move forward and backward, causing the concussion. Neil does have some significant amnesia, but is recovering. So that's good news, and we'd like to have you back. Neil, I know you're watching. We all would like to have you back soon.
Indeed, that's the number 21 Wood Brothers car that will be driven this afternoon by Dale Jarrett. Pole lap time this weekend, 16.519, well off the track record. 116.157 was the speed. The banking at 36 degrees, 500 laps of competition, 160 laps before a fuel stop. The crowd, it's a sold-out crowd on its feet as they stand up and cheer, getting set for a green flag in the start of the Valleydale 500, and here we go. Taken his number 4 Kodak Film Oldsmobile to the front of the field. Jeff Bodine in number 11 is right behind him. Third position battle is between Sterling Marlin and the blue numbered 94, and the 6th car of Mark Martin, and Sterling Marlin takes over third position. Bill Parsons in-car camera. Look at how the car goes into those 36 degrees of banking. Right there beside him is Jimmy Deans, the number 52.
Almost looks like he's laying down in the seat.
That's why your neck hurts so hard, having to hold your head over that way to keep it from going over the other direction. In just 100 laps, your neck feels like it's got a knife sticking in it.
And you can imagine how it's going to feel after 500 laps of competition. We go inside Michael Waltrip's car to see how he is doing. And there is our in-car camera. It's a miracle that he's even here, but he's in competition. Michael Waltrip in the number 30 Maxwell House Country Time Pontiac.
And he's passing on the outside. Michael, what are you doing on the outside?
You would think that you had something major taken out of him after a tremendous crash like that, but no, sir. He's up in the top groove and sawing that wheel and passing cars.
All right.
And I'll tell you, the fans are really cheering him on, too. They know what he went through yesterday, or at least they saw what he went through, and they're cheering him on.
There you can see the single file formation as Ernie Irvan continues to lead. Rick Mast in the white number 2 car there on the right side of your screen is beginning to battle for position. That's Kyle Petty just ahead of him in car number 42. They're second and third place. Jeff Bodine in number 11, Sterling Marlin in number 94, then Mark Martin in number 6, your first 4 cars.
And Dale Earnhardt got very loose back off of turn 2, and Darrell Waltrip had to slow down. And there's trouble. Brett Bodine.
Also the 57 car of Jimmy Spencer involved, and Derek Cope. 3 cars involved in a crash here on the 8th lap of the race. Looks like the most seriously damaged car is going to be Brett Bodine. However, he begins to pull away in the Quaker Stake Buick number 26. Also, Jimmy Spencer is pulling away, and Derek Cope. So all 3 cars are back under their own power, but each has received some damage. There's Derek Cope going down the main straightaway.
Well, let's take a look at what happened, Bob. There's Brett Bodine in the green car, Alan Kowicki in car number 7 up on the outside, as Bobby Hillen in the 8 car in front, and it looked like that Kowicki was trying to pass on the outside and clip Brett Bodine as he came up, coming off of turn 2, and it sent Brett into a spin down the backstretch into the inside retaining wall, clipping that, and then, of course, Jimmy Spencer spinning up on the outside there as well, and then, of course, Derek Cope got involved, too.
So our first caution period of the afternoon here in the Valleydale 500. So we'll take a break during our first caution period here as Ernie Irvan leads the early going of the Valleydale 500. Still under caution at Bristol, and Rusty Wallace was in one of another of those cars involved in the incident up between turns number 3 and 4. He has some damage on the left front of that car. Let's go to Dick Berggren for an update.
Well, the whole nose is pretty well dinged in on this thing. This is Madonna, the car that he won the race with here last year. But boy, her dress sure is rimpled. They've tried to set the toe in right now. Jimmy Maycar is underneath the car, working on it. Meanwhile, on the backstretch, Jerry punches with Brett Bodine. Jerry?
Well, you're looking at Brett Bodine's mangled Buick Regal, the rear of the car, primarily sheet metal damage. I just talked to Larry McCrimmel. They think the car actually may have just purely sheet metal or mostly cosmetic damage here, peeling some sheet metal away. Some of the rear tubing that protects the fuel cell has been bent in, as apparently Brett Bodine got a little bit of an assist from someone up there in the turn to make the car spin. They're using a hydraulic chisel now to begin to pull some of the metal away from the left rear fender well, trying to be able to get the tire back on the car. Bodine has been sitting now on pit road and is losing valuable laps.
The work continues there on the Quaker State Buick. Let's replay this crash now from the vantage point of Michael Waltrip.
Well, you can see that Alan Kowicki was trying to move by him on the outside, and Brett Bodine just came up, as you do coming off of turn 2, came up into Kowicki, and it sent him into a spin.
And that is the problem we have at the drivers have at this racetrack. Coming off those corners, Davey Allison, in his interview before at the beginning of the race, said getting off turn 4 is the most difficult problem. Well, turn 2, turn 4, there's no difference. You still, if two cars try to come off side by side, you got problems.
Boy, if it wasn't enough for Michael Waltrip to be involved in that crash yesterday, and then he sees an accident right in front of him in the very early going of this race. But Michael Waltrip continues in competition as the pace car is still on the racetrack. However, we should be going back green here in just a moment. We've completed 14 laps of this race. Ernie Irvin is the leader, with Jeff Bodine running in second position, followed by Sterling Marlin, Mark Martin, Kyle Petty, Rick Mast, Dick Trickle, and Morgan Shepherd. Now, there is the point where Michael Waltrip had the incident yesterday. You can see that they have replaced the iron gate and made the competition, and there goes Michael past the point of the impact. And there is Michael. He looks pretty calm and collected and pretty cool here as we get set to go racing once again. The pace car pulls off the track, and Ernie Irvin leads him down. The green is out on lap 15. Make that lap 16.
On the start of the race before, Jeff Bodine pulled up on the back bumper for Ernie Irvin, but in just a few laps, Ernie had pulled out to a 4 or 5 car length advantage.
Now Jeff Bodine looks to the inside of Irvin going into turn number 3, and Jeff Bodine takes the lead, and here comes Sterling Marlin right behind him. So Ernie Irvin falls from first to third there in just a few feet. Jeff Bodine in the Junior Johnson number 11 Budweiser Ford takes the lead, as Sterling Marlin now has second position, followed by Ernie Irvin and then Mark Martin.
I think Ernie did learn something last week, Ned, don't you? Because he certainly didn't contest Jeff Bodine like he could have.
No, once he got on the inside, he let him go, which was the smart thing to do.
Look at Mark Martin's right on the outside. Ooh.
He went way up in the no man's land that Dick Bergman referred to just a few minutes ago. The car stuck up there for him, however. He maintains fourth position, couldn't find the opportunity to pass Ernie Irvin, but indeed, again, he moves to the high side of the racetrack there between turns 1 and 2.
I can't believe that those guys are going up this high early on in the race. Evidently, they're not getting a very good grip on the bottom. Mark already on the top of the racetrack.
Dale Jarrett is doing a fine job in the number 21 car. There you can see him, the third car in line. Rick Mast drives the number 2. That's Dale Earnhardt, of course, the number 3. And Earnhardt moves around Rick Mast, and Dale Jarrett is following in the Wood Brothers Ford. Now Jarrett moves to the inside of Rick Mast and picks up a position as they head for turn 1.
Well, they have really been doing some jockeying around back there. Morgan Shepherd down on the inside of the racetrack right now. His car is off the pace, but he had held them up for a little bit and really caused some jockeying around. Now Sterling Marlin down on the inside, and Benny, that looks like the wrong place to be is the inside, because they're running faster on the outside.
Yeah, they're definitely getting higher on the racetrack and running faster.
There is Sterling Marlin as he is going backwards, as Dale Earnhardt and Kyle Petty and Dale Jarrett are moving forward. And now here's a battle for the lead again, as Ernie Irvin has decided he wants to take back the lead. He and Jeff Bodine move side by side into first and second turns. Jeff Bodine hangs on, and Ernie Irvin is going to spin down the backstretch.
And he spins to the inside of the racetrack. Let's see, is the caution coming out? Not yet, because he's going and was out of the way of everything, so no caution.
He did damage the car. You can see he hit the inside retaining wall and did bend in the bodywork on the tires on the left side, as tire smoke is evident. However, Ernie Irvin stays on it, and no yellow on the racetrack. We continue. Let's take a look at it once again. Here's what happened as he and Jeff came off the second corner.
Looks like Darlington all over again. This is exactly what happened coming off turn 4 at Darlington last week. Ernie once again spins. He has the car. He hits the accelerator. Now he's on the brakes. We see the tire stop and goes down and just barely hits the inside retaining wall.
And Ernie Irvan has brought the car into the pit area. There it is. The crew goes to work on it, trying to get that sheet metal away. Let's go to the pit area.
Well, Bobby's already lost a single lap here. Robert Larkin, the front tire guy, is beating on the wheel there, trying to get it in. They haven't got the fender pulled back enough to allow him to do that. Irvan certainly is going to get out at least 2 laps and maybe 3 before he gets out of here. Irvan done, not really done. They haven't got the tire out of the left rear corner. A very, very costly stop for Ernie Irvan.
He pulls back out, but here comes the field, and Ernie Irvan is going to go 3 laps down as the leaders pass by on the high side of the racetrack. Look at Dale Earnhardt in third place, and Earnhardt spins coming off too.
Same exact spotters, and he hits it real hard to the rear of the car.
Well, let's see. The caution is coming out this time.
Because Earnhardt's car is stopped at the exit of the pit area, the backstretch pit area. The yellow flag does come out.
Earnhardt gets his car moving. Here comes Bodine. I think that Earnhardt's going to save, get him left.
Well, let's see. Now, he should be, yeah, he's in front of the leader, so he should be able to pass the pace car and come on around.
And we'll replay this incident. Coming off again, corner number 2 in almost exactly the same spot that Ernie Irvan lost it.
Exactly. He tried to turn under Martin. Martin just lost the back end, and around he goes. On the brakes, we see the car stop.
Well, we've heard all week about the sealer that they put down on the racetrack. We're not going to blame that, but certainly we are seeing some unusual situations here as Dale Earnhardt, who you don't see spin very often in competition, loses it coming off corner number 2. Let's go down to Jerry Punch.
Earnhardt Chevrolet has come to rest here on pit road. The damage primarily to the right rear of the car, although all 4 tires are flat. The left rear tire completely off the rim. They will have to make a 4-tire change. They are trying to peel some of the sheet metal away. They have got right side tire changed. They do not have time to change left side to keep him losing a lap. Now he will go back on the track with no tire on the left rear. That is a wheel only rolling around the racetrack as they are getting ready to bring him back in. They had to make sure they didn't lose a lap. They have one person in the pit who watches for that Pontiac safety car, and they waved and only had the right side tires back on.
And Jared, they're getting the 1-lap signal to go, and he does have to come back in the pits. He can still go a lap down because they'll get the green flag the next time around.
Here comes Earnhardt down off the 4th turn banking, headed for the pit area once again to get that tire changed on the left side of the car. But unless the crew does some very quick work here, he could go a lap down to the field. They go to work, and look at us scurrying to change the tires on the left side of the race car. The field is getting lined up in turn number 3. There goes Earnhardt, and he is going to stay on the lead lap.
He's got some tire smoke. Quite a bit of tire smoke on that left rear. I hope that the quarter panel isn't rubbing that tire.
Here comes the field off the 4th corner, getting set for the restart once again. Green is out. Jeff Bodine leads them down. Mark Martin now running in 2nd position, and Dale Jarrett has taken the Wood Brothers Ford into 3rd spot.
Earnhardt is coming back into the pit.
Earnhardt trying desperately to stay on the lead lap, but it's not going to work as he goes a lap down. Ernie Irvan still is racing as he's trying to get his lap back.
One of his laps, he's about 3 down, and he's trying desperately to get one back. As we watch all the work going on Earnhardt's car, trying to get the left rear of the sheet metal off that tire.
Ernie Irvan does get one of his 3 laps back.
And Dale Earnhardt goes 2 laps down. Now he's going out of the pits as we watch those 3 Fords. Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin, and Dale Jarrett running 1, 2, 3.
Behind Ernie Irvan, who is now 2 laps down on the field after a spin a few laps ago. Dale Jarrett in 3rd position, just all over Mark Martin in 2nd as Mark looks to the high side of Jeff Bodine and tries to find an opportunity to take the lead and cannot do it. A good battle here involving these 3 cars, and not too far behind is the 94 car of Sterling Marlin as it becomes a 4-car battle for the lead.
Matt Sterling moves on the inside of Jarrett. Let's see if he can make it stick. Nope, that inside is slick.
Once again, Ernie Irvin, the number 4 car, is leading the field. However, he is 2 laps down. Dale Jarrett, his first Winston Cup start of 1990, substituting for the injured Neil Bonnet, running in 3rd position. Jeff Bodine continues to be the leader here in the Valleydale Meets 500 from Bristol International Raceway. We've completed 39 laps, and we'll be right back.
Years in auto racing from 1948 to 1998.
Celebrating 30 years of competition here at Bristol, the Valleydale 500. The first winner back in 1961 was Jack Smith. And we are seeing a great battle here between Jeff Bodine in number 11 and Dale Jarrett in number 21. Jarrett tries to get to the inside of Jeff Bodine and cannot take over the lead, but that Wood Brothers Ford is really working for him. Now, the last time the Wood Brothers car led a race was at Darlington last year with Neil Bonnet. They have never won a race on this track, the Wood Brothers.
I'll tell you one thing, if they just keep it going for 500 laps today, they sure got a shot, because Dale and that car seem to be matched perfectly this afternoon. By the way, just as an update, Dale Earnhardt was...
Oh, it's crash coming out of turn number 2 again. This time it's Bill Elliott slamming the inside wall. So turn 2 has been very treacherous for some of the drivers. We have seen already 3 spins in the first 47 laps of this race. First by Ernie Irvin, then Dale Earnhardt, and now Bill Elliott.
And I think once again that Elliott has escaped being lapped by the leader, and Ernie Irvin was able to get one of his laps back. I think he was about 3 down. Now he's 2 down.
And we will be seeing some pit stops now as we take a look at, once again, how Bill Elliott got in trouble, again, off the second corner.
I don't know if there's something over there or if Bill was tapped coming off the corner. Wow.
Jeff Bodine, the leader, is in. Dick Berggren is right there.
It's going to be a 4-tire change, and they're going to try to take some of the loose out of this car. He has radioed to his crew and said it's a bit loose. They're not going to touch the bolt. They're going to do it with stagger. These bias fly tires, so you can't. Great stop by Bodine. He beats everybody out. Mark Martin is second. Waltrip is 3rd out, and that's the way they'll line up for the green flag run. Jerry?
Bill Elliott has brought his course forward the rest on pit road, but the car was wobbling back and forth. We are told that the rear track bar, Panhard bar, has been broken in the car, and the rear end is shuffling back and forth in the car. That's why he had trouble even making a lap, even under speed, like 35, 40 miles an hour to get back to pit road. The field now passing by him sits on pit road. They have a whole lot of work to do here, Mike Beam and the crew, to get this car back in racing trim.
Yeah, he stood on the accelerator as he moved away from the backstretch, and the car was very difficult to handle. And now here is a replay from Michael Waltrip's vantage point once again.
We're inside Michael's car. He runs up behind Ken Schrader in the Kodak Chevrolet, and Bill Elliott is already... Ooh, and Schrader and Michael Waltrip get together trying to stop.
Michael appeared to brush the outside wall as he tried to avoid the spinning Bill Elliott, and it appears as if Elliott may be pulling behind the wall. We'll have an update on that in just a moment. Field has just taken the green flag for restart of the Valleydale Meets 500 on lap number 51. That is Bobby Hillin in car number 8 leading the way at this point. Running in second position is the number 25 car, and Ken Schrader, the 57 of Jimmy Spencer, is a lap car. So Bobby Hillin now showing the way after a series of pit stops. And our 3rd caution period of the afternoon. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Bill Elliott.
They have his Ford behind the wall up on jack stands, and he's sitting in the car waiting for him to repair. Bill, what happened over there?
Well, the tracks, I tried to get down under Jimmy Spencer, and I had him beat coming up off a corner over there. And down on that lower groove, the track's real slick, and that's evidently what happened to Earnhardt and several other cars. Just there's some rubber built up on the racetrack right there, and man, I got in it, and it was gone before you know it.
How bad is the car hurt?
I don't think it's hurt too terribly bad. It's just going to take a few laps to fix it. So we're going to try to get it back fixed and go back and run as hard as we can.
The fellow who won here 2 years ago sits behind the wall now waiting to get repaired.
And you got to believe that there is a problem over there in the second corner, because people like Elliott and Earnhardt and Irvin just don't spin unless there is a problem.
You talk about tire buildup. Sometimes when all the rubber that comes off the tires sticks to the racetrack, the cars run across it and flatten it out. And Bob, let me tell you, that is just like hitting a sheet of ice. There's nothing you can do. There's no control over the automobile, as we've witnessed by Earnhardt, Ernie Irvan, and Bill Elliott.
There is Ernie Irvan, who was our pole sitter in Goodyear. We'll be donating a check for $1,000 to the Winston Cup Racing Wives Auxiliary in the name of our pole sitter, Ernie Irvan. Now let's take a look at the Big A Auto Parts pit performance on Dale Jarrett. You can see that the driver took 10.8 seconds to slow down and speed up. The crew took 18.3 seconds in the work that was done on the car during the pit stop, and a 29.1 second total time pit stop. And they did a fine job of working on that car and getting Dale back out there on the racetrack.
Well, he was the first of those that made pit stops. The first 4 did not make pit stops. However, Dale has passed Dave Marcus since then. Ooh, Ernie Irvan hits the car number 10 going into the turn, and 10 hits the wall. And let's see, no caution yet, because the car number 10 of Derek Cope gets down out of the racing groove.
It's the second
right front tire is flat on his car.
Second time this afternoon that Derek Cope has been involved in an incident. Neither has been his fault. He's been a victim of circumstances. He's down on the apron of the racetrack, and here is a look at it once again.
You can see them going into turn 3, and Ernie runs in there as car number 10 runs up on the Rob Moroso car number 20 and had to put the brakes on.
Well, that's right. Moroso brakes going in the corner.
Now we do have caution on the track.
As the number 10 Purolator Chevy of Derek Cope is in the pits. On the back stretch and on the front stretch, the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt is also on pit road. Let's go to Jerry Punch on pit road.
Well, gentlemen, apparently NASCAR is trying to run as many laps under green as possible this year and try to minimize the yellow flags, particularly in this incident here where Derek Cope's car was able to make it back to pit road. But the NASCAR officials here on pit road saw some debris come off of the Cope car just coming out of turn 4 and roll down here on the front straightaway. And that's the reason for the yellow flag. Ordinarily, if the car could make it back to pit road, they would not have thrown the yellow flag. But in the interest of safety, they wanted to put the yellow out and make sure the track was clear here with all the speed they run. We are under caution once again here at Bristol International Raceway. 61 laps are complete, and Bobby Hill is showing the way. Stay tuned. We'll be back.
Particularly good day for those in the top 4 positions in Winston Cup points. Dale Earnhardt is in the pit area. They're working on that car. Morgan Shepherd is running 10th, Jeff Bodine 5th, and Kyle Petty is back in 15th position. Let's get an update on the Dale Earnhardt situation with Jerry.
Earnhardt's still sitting on pit road, Bob. Apparently they have some serious damage to the frame in the right rear, much more than they thought when they initially changed the tires and sent him back out. The right rear frame is bent back up inside, almost around the rear end housing, and has bent the shock, and the shock mount, the shock will not work, and obviously you got to have a shock absorber here at Bristol. The car is literally undrivable. They are trying to pry it back out using the hydraulic wrenches here. They have used a torch to try to soften the frame and pull it down a little bit to get some semblance of a rear end under the car, so Earnhardt will be able to complete some laps and rack up some of those needed Winston Cup points.
So Dale Earnhardt sits in the pit area, and let's take a look once again at why he is in there and what happened as he exited turn number 2 a few laps ago.
Well, he just tried to dip down under Mark Martin, who was running second, and simply the back end went out from under him, and he spun it down into the inside retaining wall.
And there we see the blow in the inside retaining wall, which has bent the chassis and the shocks.
There are the top 5 after 63 laps. It's Bobby Hillin leading, followed by Ken Schrader, Rob Moroso, Dale Jarrett, and Jeff Bodine. Dale Earnhardt was going for 3 wins in a row in Winston Cup competition this year. Only 5 drivers in history have done that, Dale included in them. The last was in 1987. Now the field gets set for a restart once again here in the Valleydale 500. We're coming off our 4th caution period in the first 65 laps of this race. Last year we set a record for cautions in a 500 lapper here at Bristol, as we had 20 caution periods, and we're on that track, it appears, again this afternoon. Ernie Irvan still trying to get, and he does get another lap flag, and now that puts him only 1 lap down on the field as he's able to inch by Bobby Hillin, the leader of this race.
Hillin goes very, very high. The 57 car also trying to get a lap back. Jimmy Spencer gets a Heinz Pontiac in front of Hillin.
The number 8 car is the leader. Second place is the 25 car. Those first 2 now are just getting laps back that they lost earlier. Third position is Rob Moroso. Back in fourth spot is Dale Jarrett.
Now Jarrett takes over the third position from Moroso.
Uses the low groove in turn number 4 to pick up another position, and Dale Jarrett moves to third place. An excellent run for Dale here in the early going in the substitute role for Neil Bonnet.
Boy, he's working on Ken Schrader's back bumper there. He couldn't get turned left. Now Schrader goes high. Here comes Jarrett down on the inside.
And behind him, Jeff Bodine trying to get by Moroso. 4 cars side by side going in turn 1.
And Dale Jarrett survives as he goes into second position. He gave a little bit of a nudge there, or at least he and Ken Schrader bumped for just a moment, but everything is okay.
And once again, Jeff and Mark and Moroso get together, coming off turn 4.
Let's go to Dick Berggren, who has a comment on Jeff Bodine.
Well, Bob Jenkins, believe it or not, a few minutes ago, Tim Brewer indicated to me, and he's Jeff Bodine's crew chief, indicated to me that they were going to run a little conservative because they thought some guys were running way, way over their heads out there. Maybe they are, maybe they're not, but about half this field is marked, and we've got black tire marks all through turn 1 and 2. Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace has radioed his crew that the low grooves, particularly in turns 3 and 4, are not nearly as fast as the high. The crew does seem to be working up the racetrack as the day progresses.
Well, I haven't seen any driver being conservative here in the first part of this race, as they are trading positions and trading paint with regularity. You're watching the third place car of Jeff Bodine, number 11. He's just taken over that spot from Ken Schrader in number 25.
Schrader has not made a pit stop yet. Neither has Bobby Hillen, who is leading this race. Of course, Dale Jarrett and Jeff Bodine, who are running second and third, have made pit stops.
It doesn't appear as new tires is the advantage they are at some racetracks here this afternoon, because Bobby Hillen, as you mentioned, has not pitted yet.
Yeah, and Dale Jarrett only took on right side tires, Benny. That car is still working very well, and normally you need to take on 4 tires, but his car's working well.
And Jerry Punch has a comment on Dale Jarrett.
This is exactly the best medicine you could give the Wood brothers. They have been so distraught this week over the injury of their driver and close friend, Neil Bonnet. They have dedicated this race to Neil Bonnet. This is the oldest race car they have in the stable in Newark, Virginia. This is the car that Kyle Petty used 4 years ago in 1986 to win at Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway. It's an old race car, but they are really plugging hard, including driver Dale Jarrett, trying to win one for Neil Bonnet.
Jarrett now closing in on the leader, Bobby Hillen. He comes within about a car length or a car length and a half. He's in second position. Of course, Jarrett lost his ride with the Cale Yarborough Winston Cup team at the end of last season. We asked him, is it good to be back in Winston Cup racing?
You know, good in one sense. I hate it for Neil. You know, you always hate to see anything happen, but you know, I'm good for just glad for the opportunity to have a shot in a good race car. I think I think I have something to prove on one hand, but you know, I really don't. I feel like that I've proven that I can drive a Winston Cup car, but apparently some people may not believe that. So I'm not going to go out here and do anything stupid trying to make people, you know, believe that Dale Jarrett can do it. But there again, I'm in a good race car, and they come here to win, and I think I can do it. So we're going to run hard.
Well, he is running very hard and doing very well. He's in second position at the moment. Now here is the number 20 car of Rob Moroso, involved in a battle with the number 1 car of Terry Labonte. Also involved in the action was the number 15 car of Morgan Shepherd. There's Rob Moroso, the current points leader in rookie standings for 1990 in Winston Cup competition. They get strung out just a little bit. There's the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip, who has more wins on this racetrack than any other driver. A total of 11 times he has visited victory lane. And the number 28 car of Davey Allison is just behind Darrell. Back to the leaders, meanwhile, it is still Bobby Hillen in car number 8, but all over him is Dale Jarrett in car number 21.
He ran up on him going into turn 3, almost touched Bobby, had to get on the brakes, and lost a car length or two as a result of that, but he is really working on it.
And those two cars have separated themselves rather well from everybody else. Jeff Bodine is back in third position, but these two cars have it all to themselves in the battle for the lead at the moment.
Yeah, we better give a call for Bobby Hillen because he's doing an excellent job this afternoon.
He really is, and the fact that he hasn't pitted, he has on the same tires he started this race in, so really he's doing a great job.
Now the leaders approach the slower traffic. They pass the number 98 car driven by Butch Miller, the guy that started scratch on the field. Both of them get around him very easily.
That allows Jeff Bodine to catch up just a little bit, Bob, but he still is pretty far back.
So it's still Bobby Hillen in car number 8 leading the race with the number 21 of Dale Jarrett in second. A beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Eastern Tennessee. We'll be back right after this. We have a new leader at Bristol in the Valleydale 500. Dale Jarrett has just passed Bobby Hillen to take over the lead, and there you can see the progression that Dale has made since the start of the race. He started 12th, moved to 5th by the end of 50 laps, and at the end of 90 laps now, he is the leader. This is how he took over the lead from Bobby Hillen.
Going in turn 3, dove under Hillen and came off turn 4 side by side, and that's not been working too good, and no, they touch a little bit. We see the tire smoke fly when they rub the sheet metal, and he has the lead.
I'll tell you, I think Bobby Hillen backed off there after they touched, and it's a good thing he did, a good smart move by Bobby to back off because they could have had a lot of trouble there.
We go back and pick up some other action. Look at the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt. That has to be the fastest car on the racetrack. He is 44 laps down because of an incident off of corner number 2, the car hitting the inside wall, and Dale spent many laps in the pits, but I don't think he's going to be able to make up those 44 laps, but boy, he has a fast race car at the moment.
The fans have been standing up and cheering him on as he passes those cars coming up through there. He's going to give them a show at least.
He sure is. The number 11 car of Jeff Bodine runs third. Now we go inside Dick Trickle's number 66 Phillips 66 Tropari car. And you can see he's right behind Rusty Wallace in the Miller Genuine Draft Machine.
This is going in turn 3. Let the car drift up, and they're going very, very high this afternoon. Trickle not able to close up on Rusty. We see his hands trying to correct the car now down in turn 1.
Right behind Dick Trickle is Michael Waltrip. And we're inside his car now, and the shot provided by the Maxwell House Country Time in-car camera, and he pulls alongside of Dick Trickle as they come off of corner number 4.
Tried to get by, not able to get by on the inside. It seems like, Ned, the top groove is where you've got to be this afternoon.
No question about it. It's working very well up there, and we've seen several cars spin from down on the inside. So the top groove is the place to be. And really surprising that it would happen this early in the race. However, they ran 250 laps here yesterday. The British Grand National cars did, as that groove began to move up. But normally, you got to sort of start at the bottom and work it up. And it's usually 100 or so laps before that happens. Of course, they've run close to 100 laps now, but they have moved up very early.
Michael Waltrip is running in 21st position. Dick Trickle is in 20th spot, as Michael Waltrip showing no signs whatsoever of the trauma that he experienced yesterday here at this racetrack in a horrifying crash. Michael Waltrip moves to the low groove now in turn number 4 and tries to take over 20th position from Dick Trickle, but again, it just doesn't work for him.
Just can't get traction down there. He gets on the gas, and the back end starts to go out from under, so he has to back off. Well, he can't go by on the outside because Trickle's too high on the racetrack.
I don't know. You reckon Michael wants to go on the outside anyway, Ned?
No, I wouldn't think so. He's trying that inside once again, but it's still, he just can't get enough traction.
Well, Dick Berggren demonstrated before this race started how the groove was going to move up, and indeed it has. Here is Darrell Waltrip in car number 17, running alongside the number 1 car of Terry Labonte. Now falls in behind Terry, as Davey Allison is right there, along with Kyle Petty. Leading the group down the back stretch is the number 20 car, driven by Rob Moroso. Now here comes Ricky Rudd in the number 5. Rick Henry car pulling alongside of Kyle Petty. Levi Garrett, number 5, driven by Rudd. Rudd using that low groove. Boy, he's much lower on the racetrack than everybody else.
Now Darrell makes a move on Rob Moroso, drives all the way by, and going into the turn and coming off the 4, he has that position.
Moroso running in 10th position now, as Darrell Waltrip has moved to 9th.
that is a real dogfight back in that area from about 9th back through 15th.
Davey Allison looked to the inside of Rob Moroso as they came off the 4th corner. He falls back into single file formation, however. Alan Kowicki is bringing up the tail of this group behind Ricky Rudd.
Kowicki, look how high he is. He's higher than anyone we've seen on the speedway so far. Watch this 7 car go right up against the outside. He didn't go quite high enough that time.
You know, that's almost up in the area where Dick Bergen was on his knees up there.
Exactly. No man's land, that's right. Now Davey Allison once again moving low on the racetrack. Oh, and he has bumped with Kyle Petty coming off the 4th corner. No major damage, however. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has a comment on Darrell Waltrip.
You mentioned a minute ago that Darrell was beginning to make a move in the Tide Chevrolet. When he won this race here last August, he did not lead a lap until after the 150-lap mark. He had this car very tight at the beginning of the race, and the car began to get better. The track began to come to him. This is happening now. And remember what happened in August? He led 239 of the 500 laps here. And I'm told by Jeff Hammond that's what's happening right now. The track is coming to Darrell Waltrip, and they're making their way toward the front.
So Darrell is in 10th at the moment, and we will keep our eye on him while we move our coverage elsewhere on the racetrack. Here's the number 75 car, driven by Rick Wilson and the 15 of Morgan Shepherd as they battle for 7th.
Of course, Morgan Shepherd has driven that car, number 75, in the past. And I guess knows a little bit about it. It's an Oldsmobile now. When he drove it, it was a Pontiac. Don't know how much difference that makes, but
Bobby Hillen now being challenged for 2nd position by the number 11 car of Jeff Bodine, and here comes Ken Schrader. So 2nd, 3rd, and 4th running right together here on the racetrack as Dale Jarrett continues to lead the Valleydale Meets 500 after 111 laps.
Dale has about a straightaway lead on this group that's racing for 2nd spot.
In fact, he's coming up on that big group of cars we were watching there not long ago of Michael Waltrip, Dick Trickle, and Richard Petty is in that group. To put a lap on him. He's only a 2nd or so behind them.
And that red car that everybody put a lap on just going down the backstretch there was Bill Elliott. There is the leader, and you can see the interval between himself and the 2nd place car. Dale Jarrett, driving the Citgo Wood Brothers Ford, is in command of the Valleydale Meets 500 here at Bristol International Raceway. We're glad you could join us. We'll be right back with more of our live coverage right after this. Back at Bristol, and the helmet cam is working fine on Phil Parsons as he is in the normally Harry Gant car, and you can see just ahead of him the leader, Dale Jarrett. But look at Phil go into the 33 degrees of banking.
He goes down the straightaway, his head straightens up. He goes in the corner, he leans back to the left. Jerry Punch is down with Eddie Wood, the owner of the 21 car. Jerry?
Eddie is the son, one of 2 sons of the famous Glenn Wood, Eddie, of course, and Lynn Wood. And Eddie, he's timing the car, watching Dale Jarrett come by. You knew the car would run well, but you got to be surprised at how strong the car is.
I don't know. It runs pretty good. It's trying to stay out of trouble right now. A lot of stuff going on there.
They are watching the car. They tested here. Of course, it was very, very difficult to hear it. They tested here a few weeks ago with Neil Bonnet. Knew they would have a good setup here, but have been very impressed with the job that Dale Jarrett has done.
The noise is incredible down there in the pit area. We're in more or less a bowl or a saucer here, and all the noise flows to the inside of the track, and it is very difficult to hear. Look at the traffic jam here out the 4th corner. Dale Jarrett is right behind Jimmy Spencer and others.
Yes, Eddie Wood said that there's a lot going on out there. He's right. It's right in front of his race car where everything is going on. He's coming up to lap some of the cars. He just lapped Phil Parsons. Now Dave Marcus going by. And Jimmy Spencer has just blown in front of Dale Jarrett, so Dale backs off. I say he blew a lot of smoke coming out of that car. Dale backs off for a little bit. That has to scare you, Benny, when you're behind the car going into a turn smoking like that.
Terrifies you. The car is really smoky. It looks like it's severed an oil line or something because the car is running extremely well.
Yeah, he gets the black flag now from NASCAR. He's still running good, so the engine hasn't blown, but boy, there is a lot of smoke coming from it, and got Dale Jarrett scared to death back there.
And this is how it looks from Phil Parsons' vantage point. You can see the smoke is evident to him. And Alan Kowicki has spun in turn number 4.
And it happened right in front of the leader. He did get down on the inside and missed Alan as he came down across the racetrack.
So Alan Kowicki will bring out our 5th caution period of the afternoon. That car down on the apron of the racetrack off of corner number 4. Here's a replay of the spin involving Alan in car number 7.
Kowicki trying to get by Rob Moroso. They go in the corner. Kowicki, something happened to the right front of the car.
Yeah. That tire went down or something broke on the steering. Something did happen. It just shot him right up into the wall.
No question.
See Dale Jarrett? Oh, boy, he cut her square left coming down to him.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's in Dale Jarrett's pit.
Hall of Fame, Wood brothers go to work. Leonard Wood changing the right front tire. Eddie Wood with the right rear. They're cleaning the windshield. They will change right side tires, and now they will run around the left side of the car and change left side tires. Let's check in with the Bodine pit. Dick?
Well, Jerry, they're going to take on 4 tires here as well, and the left side of Bodine's car reveals that he's had some contact with somebody with a blue car. Could have been Kyle Petty. Well, Bodine is down already. Good stop for Bodine. Kyle Petty is behind him. He could have also run into Sterling Marlin. There's been a lot of close racing out there, and a lot of these cars are well dinged up this early in the event.
A scurry to exit the pit area. Here comes Ricky Rudd out. That's Rusty Wallace moving to the left. Ernie Irvin's car is still in the pit area. Now it begins to move away. Dick Trickle also moving out, as is Dale Earnhardt. 5th caution period of the afternoon here at the Valleydale 500. 128 laps completed. We'll resume with racing action here in just a moment. Winston Cup replays are brought to you by Purolator, the world's largest filter company. 32 cars started the 1989 Valleydale 500, and the caution would fly a record 20 times this day. Early leader Ernie Irvin had hard contact with the 4th turn wall. Hut Strickland became involved as Rusty Wallace was able to squeeze through. Bobby Hillen's day came to a fiery conclusion. Terry Labonte and Morgan Shepherd brought out another caution. A sideways Greg Sachs led the most laps, but slipped to a 7th place finish. Rusty Wallace and Bristol's all-time win leader, Darrell Waltrip, fought for the lead. While Jeff Bodine, Davey Allison, and Dick Trickle would battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Rusty cruised to his 3rd win of the season and moved to 2nd in points, just 19 behind the new Winston Cup points leader, Jeff Bodine. And there is a Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance on Jeff Bodine. 10.9 seconds for the driver, 26.1 seconds for the crew, a total of 37 seconds. And as a result of that, Jeff Bodine in car number 11, the Budweiser Ford, went in 3rd position, comes out of the pits as the leader on lap number 127. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Alan Kowicki.
Well, Alan is here surveying the damage on the car. Alan, what happened?
Well, we had a tire rub in for 50 or 60 laps. Another car cut down on me a little bit, and it finally blew going in the 3rd turn, and I hit the wall.
Are you going to be able to get it fixed?
Yeah, we'll probably get back out there, but tough day for us here with the Xerox Ford Thunderbird. We'll get back out and run as many laps as we can, but it messed the car up a little bit. I mean, the front end's all out of line, and I tell you, the track's in pretty bad shape out there.
Alan Kowicki out of it. We're set to go back to green.
Been a bad year for Alan Kowicki so far, with only 1 top 10 performance. That was an 8th at Atlanta. The crowd rises as we get set to go back to green. On lap number 134, green is out, and the leader of the race is Jeff Bodine in car number 11. Kyle Petty running in 2nd position. This is from our bumper cam on Phil Parsons, number 33, looking back at our leader.
Of course, that puts Phil Parsons and Ernie Irvin, who are running up in front of the leader, back in the lead lap.
Ernie went 3 laps down earlier. He is now back in the lead lap.
Phil hopes that's as close as that Bud ever gets to him.
Kyle Petty running 2nd. Bobby Hillen running 3rd. The number 5 car, driven by Ricky Rudd, is on the move. He just passed the number 2 car, Rick Mast. Now he has his sights on Terry Labonte in car number 1. Ricky Rudd in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet, car number 5. Currently running in 10th position now since he passed the number 2 car. There are 18 cars on the lead lap.
Well, you talk about a 5 o'clock traffic jam. This is unbelievable. And they're running just inches apart. Look, Kyle Petty trying to get by Jeff Bodine.
And here comes Bobby Hillin to make a three-way battle. Kyle Petty and Jeff Bodine will move into the corner side by side, and Kyle Petty will come out of the corner with the lead.
Pretty good traffic jam right here.
He becomes our 5th different leader of the afternoon. Kyle Petty, car number 42, and Bobby Hillin is looking for second position.
Well, if you wonder what happened to the fellow who was leading the race, Dale Jarrett, he came out in 7th after that pit stop. Had a little trouble with the left side on that car, but he now is beginning to make his way back up through there just past Darrell Waltrip, and you can see him at the back of this pack here, right behind Mark Martin.
Word is that there's a problem on the number 11 car of Jeff Bodine. Oh, he and Bobby Hillin touch in turn 2. Jeff Bodine loses a spot, and he may be coming in.
Sterling Marlin trying to get by. He gets by Mark Martin, takes a look on the inside of Jeff Bodine.
Dick Berggren, what is wrong with the number 11 car? Any idea?
Well, yeah, he had radioed in that he had a flat tire a few minutes ago. Now he's not too entirely sure what's going on with the car. They are ready to change tires. They're on the edge of pit wall, and I'll tell you, they're on the edge of their seats about this number 11. Junior Johnson has won more races here than anybody else, and they sure like to win one today, but Bodine is heading to the back, and they don't yet know what's going on.
He has fallen to 4th position. Now here's Sterling Marlin, the number 94, taking 4th away. Jeff goes back to 5th spot, and Dale Jarrett, at number 21, is right behind Jeff.
Jeff is just not able to get the car through the middle of the corner. He goes in the corner and he just is not able to carry his speed through the middle. Evidently, the car is loose.
Well, Dale Jarrett got a feeling of that slick track on the inside of number 2 when he was up on the inside of Jeff Bodine. He almost lost that Sitco Ford. He did gather it back in, lost a lot of time, but now he is picking back up on Jeff once again.
The number 15 car of Morgan Shepherd is on the extreme right of your screen as he joins this battle for position now behind Darrell Waltrip and Dave Marcus. Here's the number 1 car of Terry Labonte and the 5 of Ricky Rudd. That's Richard Petty, of course, trailing those 2.
Rudd, just a couple of laps ago, was able to get up on the 1. This time he's falling back. Here's Dale Jarrett once again up on the back bumper of Jeff Bodine. Dave Marcus behind Dale Jarrett, and then Darrell Waltrip behind him.
The number 71 car of Dave Marcus is not on the lead lap. He is a lap down, shown in 23rd position. Back to the lead, meanwhile, here's Bobby Hillin in number 8 making a challenge on Kyle Petty for the lead.
Looks inside of Kyle. Kyle goes up in the groove. Hillin tries it on the inside. It's slick down there. He's not able to make the pass. Meanwhile, while he did that, Mark Martin has pulled up on the back bumper of Bobby Hillin.
Indeed, he has. Mark Martin is running in 3rd position, but challenging Bobby Hillin for 2nd spot. Now Mark Martin will move to the inside of Hillin in the 4th corner. It won't work down there, and Mark Martin falls back into 3rd.
Is that unbelievable? The last lap, Bobby Hillin tried it on Kyle Petty. This time, Mark Martin tried it on Bobby Hillin, and the same result for both of them.
It didn't work for either of them.
Well, it's a one-groove racetrack, and that one groove is up very high.
Bobby Hillin running in 2nd position, has one top 10 finish this year. He was 6th in the Daytona 500. Ran very well in the Daytona 500. Here's Mark Martin now closing in on Hillin, however, for 2nd position. The leader comes up to pass Dale Earnhardt, and Earnhardt, who was the fastest car on the racetrack a while ago, has fallen off the pace once again.
Yeah, he came out after they made a lot of repairs on that Goodwrench Chevrolet and ran strong for a while, but now he is going slow.
Back to the number 17 car of Darrell Waltrip. We see him in 7th position now. That's Dave Marcus just ahead of him, but again, Marcus is not on the lead lap. The 11 car of Jeff Bodine is running in 6th. And then behind Darrell Waltrip, and here comes Morgan Shepherd of the Motorcraft Ford. He looks to the inside, but again, it isn't working. The low groove off of corner 4.
Boy, they just can't get a grip at all on the bottom side of this racetrack, either in 2 or 4. Dave Marcus in the Big Apple.
Oh, Dale Jarrett is spun coming off of turn 4. He was trying to pass Sterling Marlin, and he got down on the inside, and it bit him. He didn't hit anything. and no one has hit him yet. So,
and the caution flag is out.
Dale Jarrett gets the car pointed in the right direction. The car is still moving. However, the caution flag is out once again. Our 6th of the afternoon. Dale Jarrett spinning the Citgo Ford off of corner number 4 on lap number 153.
He had caught Sterling Marlin in a hurry after he got around Jeff Bodine, and he got it beside him going into turn 3 and coming off of turn 4, as we've seen so many times down on that inside. He just got out from under him.
And here is a replay. Watch the top of your screen, the top 2 cars.
That's Sterling Marlin and Dale Jarrett, and Dale just around he goes.
Sending up a lot of smoke, but keeping the car off the wall. Nice job of driving by Dale.
He was very fortunate there. A lot of cars coming down through there that couldn't see very well because of all that smoke.
Bobby Hillen is in for a pit stop in the number 8 car, and so is Jeff Bodine to number 11. There's the work going on the Bobby Hillen car. Jerry Punch is in the number 21 pit.
Well, the Wood Brothers are going to change cars. They're going to have to hustle, though, because Dale Jarrett's car was at the back of the pack, and they moved on around. Kyle Petty did not fit. Bodine is in, and Dick Bergman is down there, but they're moving on to the left side of the Neil Bonnet car. Neil Bonnet's name on the hood. Dale Jarrett is driving the car. Let's check on the Bodine pit stop with Dick Bergman. Well, Jerry, they took a round of tires, and they really needed that yellow flag to happen. Bodine had just been riding out there trying to keep that thing off the wall, and every time he came off the corner, the car was right out sideways. Junior put about a quarter of a round of bite in the left rear. That's really not going to do anything. That's only worth about a pound or so. They're about now to start putting the tire pressure gauges on these tires and see which one of them went down. So it was a good round of pit stops for everybody. Bodine having a good opportune moment. We're going to go away for a moment, and we'll be back.
Certainly a track that's produced many heroes down through the years, Bristol, and we're watching the race from April of 1990 at that particular facility on our NASCAR Marathon. Now, we call it Bristol Motor Speedway now, but that's not what it was called back in 1990.
In 1990, it was the Bristol International Raceway. That was when Larry Carey owned it. And you'll notice one thing a little bit different. The surface is dark. It's pavement instead of the concrete that you see today.
And also, for this race, they had a whopping attendance of 57,800 people, and that place will seat almost 3 times that many now.
Almost 130,000 people here in 1998. But, you know, 57,800 folks, that's a lot of people to put around a half-mile racetrack.
Bristol Motor Speedway and the Valleydale Meets 500. Let's go back now as the NASCAR Marathon continues here on ESPN2. The green flag back out on lap 165 out of 500 that will make up the Valleydale Meets 500 Winston Cup race here at Bristol International Raceway. Kyle Petty leads in car number 42. The number 6 car of Mark Martin running in second spot. Sterling Marlin in number 94 is in third. Then comes Morgan Shepherd. Here's the 17 and 5 cars of Darrell Waltrip and Ricky Rudd. So there are your first 6 positions right there. And now we go back into the pack and watch the number 28 car of Davey Allison and the guy who used to be leading not too long ago, Bobby Hillen in number 8.
Boy, track position is everything on this racetrack. Bobby Hillen, when he was up front, was able to lead the race. Now, back in the traffic, it's just so difficult to get by every car that you pass. It's a struggle. It takes lap after lap to get by someone.
He's back in 18th position, by the way. Bobby Hillen in car number 8.
And on back behind him is Dale Jarrett, who led this thing for a while. Dale's having a problem of some sort. Looks like the car's pushing pretty bad for him right now, so he's not able to move up through the pack. Here's the crash.
Oh, in turn number 4, 20, Rob Moroso involved. His car is off the racetrack on the inside.
He's backed in the fence with the left rear of the car. We see the left rear banged up.
Damaged pretty heavily.
I don't know if he's going to be able to get the car to roll with the thing banged up as much as it is. We'll see.
If Davey Allison wasn't involved, he was very close. I think maybe he escaped, but really had to take some evasive action.
Well, I say he touched. We'll see who's right.
Okay, you can see Rob trying to get the car going, and it just won't move on him. The back tires are spinning, and here is a replay of it.
There's Davey Allison and Bobby Hillen, the cars we were focusing on, and we see the smoke where...
Yes.
David does touch it, but he does a great job of just turning left and coming down and going on without too much damage.
He touched him, but it really wasn't that hard. You're right.
So another caution period on lap 171. It's our 8th of the afternoon in the Valleydale Meets 500 from Bristol, Tennessee. We'll be right back. We'll be going back to green here in just a moment. The cars are behind the pace car in turn number 2, but they will be going green momentarily. There's the banged-up car of Rob Moroso as he got into the fence in turn number 4, causing the most recent caution period.
By the looks of that, his windshield, a lot of oil on that windshield. I don't know if he had an engine problem, but it seemed to be an excessive amount of oil on the windshield.
Very slow restart. The number 27 car of Rusty Wallace is back on the lead lap. He is running in 8th position. There's part of the record crowd of 57,800 as it rises to its feet once again on lap number 177 as we restart the Valleydale 500. Not only is Rusty Wallace back on the lead lap, but Ernie Ehrman is also on the lead lap. He is running in 13th position. Here is the Phillips 66 in-car camera as Rusty Wallace is just ahead of Dick Trickle. That's, of course, Richard Petty to the left in number 43.
Richard is 1 lap down, currently being shown in 21st position.
You can see how the cars skitter around from the in-car camera of Dick Trickle. Car smoking at the bottom of the racetrack is the 57 of Jimmy Spencer.
Well, Bob, one reason these cars skitter around is incredibly fast speed for a half-mile racetrack. As Dick Bergman talked about at the beginning of the show, 36 degrees. These fellows barely have to back off. They drive the car extremely deep in the corner and just throw the car back the other direction and back in the gas and probably run 130, 40 miles an hour at this point.
Jerry Punch is with Rob Moroso. Jerry?
He is climbing out of what's left of his Crown Petroleum Oldsmobile and trying to get a breath of air here. He comes out and surveys the damage. Rob, what happened up there?
Well, I was just taking my time in the Crown Olds, and it was running real well. And that 2 car was behind me, and he wasn't taking his time enough, and he just got into me going down into turn 2. Spun me out. I don't know why I did it.
The car is nearly destroyed. The whole back end of the car is off. Looks like Rob Moroso was out of it at Bristol.
Young man originally from Connecticut, making his home now down in the southeastern portion of the United States to be closer to the racing operation. Rob Moroso going for Rookie of the Year honors. Let's go to Dick Bergen with another report from pit road. Dick?
Well, I just had a nice conversation with Kyle Petty's crew chief during that little brief interlude, Bob Jenkins, and he said that the last time they pitted, they took only 2 tires. Why? He said, we want track position. He said, everybody's having a hard time grabbing hold of the racetrack, and the place to be there for is out front. Meanwhile, as he's got that track position, the guy riding in 2nd spot, Mark Martin, has radioed his crew that he's got a bit of a push in the car, and he told Steve Neal, his crew chief, you get that thing out of here, and I'm going to run away with this race. So 1st place, 2nd place, neither one got hold of the racetrack the way they'd like to have hold of it.
All right, Dick, thanks for the report. The number 21 car of Dale Jarrett is back on the move as he, of course, spun a few laps ago, but did not lose a lap. And the car's working again very well for him. Here's a full field rundown after 185 laps. The leader is Kyle Petty. The number 2 car of Rick Mast, followed by the 11 of Jeff Bodine, the 8 of Bobby Hillen. And now we see the 11 car of Jeff Bodine move to the inside of Rick Mast in corner number 4.
And Bobby Hillen went by also, and Dale Jarrett going by the 2 car, so now he lost a lot of positions.
The group of cars that are in front of them, and here's the leader, Kyle Petty, trying to keep the 71 car on the lead lap. However, Dave Marcus in number 71 gets his lap back, and that 71 car is performing well.
He has been running awfully well all afternoon. I don't even know how he got it. Look, here comes a 6 car by trying to get by Kyle Petty. And look, the 94 car, Sterling Marlin on the outside of the 6.
Well, that inside groove is just not the place to be.
It definitely is not. Look at Mark Martin lose the positions as he tried to take advantage by going to the inside in corner number 4, and now 1 lap later, he has lost numerous positions and is out of line. This is almost as bad as being out of the draft at Talladega or Daytona. You lose several positions if you get into the low groove, and here's Sterling Marlin trying to go to the inside of Kyle Petty and take the lead, and Marlin goes to the front.
There's something wrong with that 42 car. Something's wrong with the car. He's awfully slow now. Look, cars going by. Darrell Waltrip goes by on the inside.
Morgan Shepherd moves to second. Here comes Darrell Waltrip going to 3rd spot as Kyle Petty drops back to 4th.
He was losing spots about as fast as Mark Martin was.
So Sterling Marlin in the Sunoco Oldsmobile has the lead now. We're going to replay all of this and watch the move that Sterling Marlin makes on Kyle Petty.
Okay, first goes high, and then Kyle slows a little bit, and he just turns his square left down to the inside and goes down the backstretch into turn 3 and moves right on around.
Nice move by Sterling Marlin to go into the lead. And there you can see now that he is being challenged by the 15 of Morgan Shepherd. As we show you the cars that have dropped out of the race. Derek Pope in number 10, Rob Moroso in number 20, and there are some cars behind the wall, not necessarily out of the race.
Here's Darrell Waltrip. Someone mentioned the last race that he won. He didn't take the lead till about the 300 lap mark. Well, he is only 3 car lengths in the lead now.
I'll tell you, he's smart. That's one reason that he has won as many races on this racetrack as he has.
Yep. He has won 11 times at Bristol. One major reason for that is because he's patient. He knows what the racetrack can do to you. Right now, he finds himself in a very competitive 3rd spot. Sterling Marlin leading Morgan Shepherd and Darrell.
From Ricky Rudd, who is running 4th. Of course, Rudd took a little time to get around Kyle Petty, so he might be running them down. He's about 10 car lengths behind Darrell Waltrip. There you can see him coming into the picture.
There are 20 cars on the lead lap. Dale Earnhardt, those of you who are wondering what his situation is, he is 46 laps down because of an incident early in the race, and the 26 car is 62 laps down. That, of course, is Brett Bodine. However, the pole sitter for this race, number 4, Ernie Irvan, was 3 laps down earlier. He is back on the lead lap, and he is currently shown in 13th spot. Now, Ernie Irvan is eligible for the Unocal bonus money, which amounts to $22,800. He's the only one that can win that amount because he started this race from the pole position.
We talked about track position and just how important it is. Ernie Irvan, when he was just 3 laps down, was able to drive up and get alongside the leader as he goes by the Mike Alexander automobile. He was able to pull up on the restarts and get up in the front row. And all he had to do was pass 1 car. Now he passes 1 car. He still has 18 more in front of him.
So Ernie Irvan moves to 12th position, putting the number 12 car of Mike Alexander back 1 notch. Up front, once again, we check on the leaders, and let's see how Darrell Waltrip is doing. He's
doing very well, as a matter of fact.
As a matter of fact, he is looking to the inside of Morgan Shepherd. Let's see if it can work for him. Nope. Again, the inside line just isn't working, especially out of corner number 4. Meanwhile, we see
Shepherd almost gets the wall.
Yeah, Shepherd sliding high on the track, losing 2 positions. He drops from 2nd to 4th. Waltrip moves to 2nd, and Ricky Rudd is 3rd.
Morgan's coming in the pits. Morgan Shepherd in the pits.
The only guy besides Dale Earnhardt who has finished in the top 10 every race so far in 1990 brings the car in, and Jerry Punch is right there to report.
An unscheduled stop for Morgan Shepherd. What a tough break for the Motorcraft Ford. He did just rub the wall up in turn 1. They don't want to take a chance here in Bristol. As fast as this racetrack is, he will come in and right side tire. In fact, Morgan thinks he may have had a tire going down. Now they're going to try track to pull some of the sheet metal away. Through now trying to get right side car. James Morgan is down and away. A tough break for Morgan Shepherd.
22.8-second pit stop for Morgan Shepherd. Let's look and see if we can determine maybe what happened. Well, he's into the wall in turn 1.
He sure is. Yeah, just shot up there in a hurry. Waltrip had decided, it looked like, as he went into the turn, that he's going to follow Morgan into the turn. He'd gotten on the inside of him coming off the 4, but then when Morgan, you can see, dive under him then once he got into the turn, and Ricky Rudd goes by as well.
So Morgan Shepherd with an unscheduled pit stop drops from contention for the moment.
And in the pit stop, they had all kind of problems with the jack. They had to go across the wall, get another jack. Don't know what the problem was, but it was an extended pit stop.
The 94 car of Sterling Marlin leads at the end of 209 laps in the Valleydale Meets 500 from Bristol International Raceway. In the pits, Kyle Petty in car number 42, Dick Berggren.
Bob, he had been backpedaling for quite some laps. They thought that there was a slow leak, a tire going down to the right front. Gary Nelson's got his hands in there. There's 3 of them in there in the right front area, changing the right front tire. Petty is going down a lap, and he's out. They didn't need that. They sure didn't need that.
So Kyle Petty goes a lap down. We have a great battle for the lead. The number 94 of Sterling Marlin has his hands full with number 17, Darrell Waltrip. While we were in break, we had, well, I guess we could call a near spin. Watch this situation down in turn number 1.
Jeff Bodine just touches the back of Mike Alexander's Ray Bestie's Buick. Mike saves the car. What a super job. Goes down pit road, but there's no caution flag. He says, okay, I'll go back around the racetrack.
Mike Alexander with a nice job of keeping that car out of trouble. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has a report on a tire that came off of Morgan Shepherd's car. Jerry?
Well, a minute ago, Bob, we speculated that Morgan may have cut a tire when the car abruptly rubbed the wall in turn 1, and exactly that's what happened. This is the right front tire off the Motorcraft 4. There's a small puncture here on the inside rim of this tire. The tire was leaking down. Morgan slammed the wall, came in, made a pit stop, lost 2 laps, and it's worth 2 laps down now. But a tough break for Morgan Shepherd.
Indeed it was. Morgan had that Motorcraft Ford really performing, as it has just about every race. A spin on the front stretch, a crash, as a matter of fact. It's Rusty Wallace. Looks like he has had pretty hard impact with the wall as the hood on the car is up. And this will bring out our 9th caution flag of the afternoon at lap 221. The defending Winston Cup champion, Rusty Wallace, in trouble, crashing here on the main straightaway.
He was being shown in the 7th position, Bob. So he started way back today, but had worked his way up in the top 10.
And I tell you what, there was some heavy, there we see where he hit the wall, some heavy contact with it. I don't know if we can get a shot of it. There is black marks coming off turn 4, going directly into the wall. The black marks of Rusty
there
Wallace.
It is. Yeah, you can see he really went in. Now we have a series of pit stops being made now. Jerry Punch is in the leader's pit.
Sterling Marlin will get service here from the Billy Hagan crew. The Sunoco crew will change 4 tires and clean the windshield, fill it up with fuel. They've already changed the right side tires that will come around to the left side. Remember this race a year ago, they left the lug nuts off the left side, and they had a problem with the car he was leading, and it cost him the race. Just Bodine, you're seeing the crew cam being worn by Mike Hill, who's the rear tire changer. On the left side of the Bodine car, the left line forward, Mike Hill puts those lug nuts on and service there from the crew cam. And the car is gone for Jeff Bodine. Back blocked in there. Now he's able to pull away, and it cost him about 4 or 5 seconds and about 8 or 9 spots getting back into turn 1.
Yeah, he had to wait for Ernie Irvin to pull away. He had a notion to put the car in reverse, but figured that would take more time than ever, so he just waited for Ernie to pull out. Now watch in the upper right corner of your screen for this incident involving Rusty Wallace. We can see the impact from our speed shot here on the main straightaway. Ooh, the car just drove almost head-on into the wall.
Wow. Well, it did. I don't know what if he blew a tire or what happened, or cut a tire.
Well, let's go to Dick Berggren, who's with the crew chief, Barry Dodson.
Well, most importantly, your driver has just walked to the ambulance. Have you talked to him? Is he all right?
He says he's fine. The car is wiped out. We're going to do what we can, try to creep around like Dale's doing. I don't know. He cut a tire up there. I don't know what happened.
Boy, he hit that wall a ton, Barry.
Yeah, he did. He's okay. That's all that matters.
Yeah, it is. These guys are very tight. They're more than a team. They're a bunch of friends as well. Rusty almost got the thing upside down. Shades of 1988.
Indeed, he flipped badly a couple of years ago here on the main straightaway, hitting the wall in just about the same spot. The car is badly damaged, but they're thinking about possibly getting it back into the race. We'll be right back.
I think we're pretty close on the sit-up right now so far, and everything's really working good. And Daryl's just driving his heart out right now. We've got a long ways to go, but you know, we're looking good right now. We finally got back a little bit of form, so hope we keep it up.
The big man here will be the spotter to keep that driver out of trouble as we get ready to go back to green. And now Jeff Evans says, go, Daryl, go. We're back to green flag racing.
On lap 226, the green is back out for competition, and Darrell Waltrip is the leader of this race. At one time, Darrell won 7 consecutive races here on this track. He is trying to win his 12th race at this facility here this afternoon.
You know, that was quite unbelievable. That 7 in a row, after he won 3 in a row, every time he went back, nah, he won't win another one. 7 in a row. It was incredible.
The number 15 car of Morgan Shepherd is 2 laps down in 19th position, although second on the racetrack. Let's go to Dick Berggren, who's with Rusty Wallace.
What a hit you took, Rusty Wallace. You're all right, though.
Yeah, I'm just fine. Everything went okay. The car was really running well. I got in a little accident early going, but they fixed it and everything was fine. I'm sitting there running 4th or 5th, and blew a tire coming off of turn 4, or cut a tire, whatever you want to call it. Right in the same spot I took my bad accident a couple years ago, but thank God I'm not hurt this time. And tell Patty and family, everybody back home, I'll be home later. Everything's okay.
You almost got it over.
Well, I'll tell you what, I knew it had to be pretty high because it felt just about the same way I had that accident last time. Can't hardly talk down here, but I'm okay.
Now, Rusty Wallace, a true champion. He'll talk, he'll smile, and do the whole thing here. Now he's going to go over and deal with what's left of his race car.
He damaged it badly in that crash coming off of corner number 4. Darrell Waltrip is the leader. His progression, he was 10th when the race started. He fell back to 11th at the end of 100 laps. By the end of 200 laps, he was 3rd. And now at the end of 230 laps, he is in the lead. Bobby Hillin and Michael Waltrip running side by side. Michael forced up a little bit high and gets very close to that outside wall in turn number 3. Bobby Hillin in car number 8 is currently shown in 12th position.
Once again, Hillin having a wonderful run this afternoon. This is an in-car camera from inside Michael Waltrip's car.
Spin off of corner 4, Michael Alexander.
And he backs it all the way down to the inside, out of harm's way as far as the racing group is concerned. No caution yet. He comes down pit road again on the wrong side.
Right. Yeah, last time he spun in turn number 1 and drove through the pits on the back stretch. This time he spins in turn 4 and drives through the pits on the front stretch. But Michael Alexander did lose a lap that time. Here's a replay of it. Again, off of our speed shot in the middle of the straightaway. Watch the top of your screen. There you can see him losing control in turn 4.
Yeah, he was completely by himself on the racetrack, and he just got away from him.
Mike Alexander in Bobby Allison's car. Here is the leader, Darrell Waltrip. Second position now belongs to Sterling Marlin. Well, some good racing going on here. That's the number 25 car of Ken Schrader, owned by Rick Hendrick. Another Rick Hendrick car, Ricky Rudd, running right behind him at number 5. And then comes Bobby Hillin in the number 8 car.
The 1 car of Terry Labonte is the next car behind Ricky Rudd.
Terry's having a good run here today.
Having an excellent run.
This is 6th, 7th, and 8th, by the way.
You talk about Rick Hendrick owning those 2 cars, the 25 and the 5. He also owns the leader's car, Darrell Waltrip.
Now we're looking back at the Ken Schrader car from our Phillips 66N car camera carried by Dick Trickle.
Who is running 5th at the moment.
We are now 10 laps away from the halfway point. The leader of the race 10 laps from now will win $10,000. Again, the leader at the moment is Darrell Waltrip. Continue to watch this battle for 6th and 7th.
Sterling Marlin still running 2nd. Mark Martin 3rd. Dale Jarrett 4th. And Dick Trickle 5th. And he's got a lot of company coming up behind him there right now.
Oh, he sure does. Everybody's breathing down his neck.
And then the 4 car of Rick Wilson. the yellow car coming into that picture.
Here's Dick Trickle's progression. Started 6th till way back to 20th, then moved up to 8th and back to 5th. So it's been an up and down battle for Dick Trickle, but he's in good shape right now at the end of 242 laps. The number 4 car of Ernie Irvin, you can see, has now closed in on Bobby Hillen. And a spin, Michael Waltrip coming off of corner number 4. That car into the wall and going very slowly down the main stretch. NASCAR watching the situation very carefully to see if they should throw the caution. They do not. And Michael Waltrip goes down to the apron of the racetrack and heads for pit road on the backstretch. Tough break for Michael Waltrip, but things certainly ending better here today than they did yesterday.
He was running in 9th position.
That's
still in the lead lap.
Just an incredible story about how he could even get back in a race car. And you guys are going to have to explain that one for me when you get a little time in the second half of the race, how a guy can get back into a race car and do again what he, well, had a problem doing the day before. Now, in the top of the screen, once again, there you can see he's way up on the wall, scraping along it in turn 4.
I think he cut a tire. The right front tire was flat when he went by here, and evidently the tire went down, got him into the wall.
He didn't need that. With all the agony he went through yesterday, he didn't need any pain today. And there was some pain hitting that wall. Well, at least he's moving around. Attaboy, Mikey.
Yep. Just 2 more laps now from the halfway point. Darrell Waltrip leading the race. Here he comes to complete lap number 248. 2 more circuits of the racetrack. And Darrell Waltrip will win $10,000, the winner of the Right Guard Halfway Challenge. He's got clear sailing ahead of him. He's not going to be bothered by any lap traffic here in the next lap as he comes off the 4th corner, completes lap 249. 1 more lap to go in the halfway challenge.
And he's pulled away a pretty good distance from the 2nd place car of Sterling Marlin.
Registration, of course, by dialing 1-900-246-0101.
Too late to call.
Here it is.
Coming off turn 4.
Crash in turn number 2 as Waltrip does complete the halfway point. It's Dick Trickle that has crashed over in turn number 2. The car sliding down the banking and now is at the inside of the racetrack. We have completed the halfway point, and Darrell Waltrip, the leader of the Valleydale 500 at the end of 250 laps. Now the pace car trying to get Darrell Waltrip slowed down. Kyle Petty passed the pace car. I don't know whether they will...
So did Morgan Shepherd, too. I expect they'll hold those 2 cars. I'm not sure they saw the caution flag when they came by because it came out just as they were coming off of turn 4.
Dick Trickle is moving again. Now we have an in-car camera shot of what happened to Michael Waltrip a few laps ago. Here is his problem developing. Yep.
Yeah, I think the right front tire went down.
I think it did too.
Shot him right up into the wall. You hear that grinding, sad sound.
Yep.
At the speed these cars run, when the tire goes flat, there's no control over the automobile.
Nothing you can do. You're just a passenger at that point. We're live at Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee for the Valleydale 500. Just as you rejoin us, the green flag flies over Bristol Raceway, and we are back to competition. And Kyle Petty has taken the lead away from Darrell Waltrip as the cars get the green flag, although Kyle Petty is a lap down. He's just getting his lap back.
And he had made an unscheduled green flag pit stop, so that put him back. I don't know if he lost 1 or 2 laps, but anyway, he certainly got 1 of them. He had lost 2. Now he's just got 1 of those back.
So Darrell Waltrip is the leader of the race. There was some confusion as to whether he would be given the $10,000 at leading at the halfway point because of the yellow flag. The official ruling from NASCAR is that indeed Darrell Waltrip did win $10,000 by leading at the halfway point. Darrell Waltrip was the leader at the halfway point. Dick Trickle is still in the race, but boy, that car is smoking as we take a look at the in-car camera, the Phillips 66 in-car camera. Where is Phil Parsons? Well, he is behind the wall. They are still trying to do that. He, of course, carrying one of our in-car cameras. And how about our 3rd in-car camera? Well, it's being carried by Michael Waltrip, and he is waiting patiently for repairs to be made to his car so that he can get back in competition. He brushed the wall a few laps ago, and there's the smoke coming from Dick Trickle's car.
And he's getting the black flag, Bob. That's
Jeff Bodine is in the wall.
Hard going in turn 1.
Boy, he just drove right straight for the outside wall.
Let me tell you what happened. He got together with Trickle and another car coming off turn 4 and evidently blew the right front tire. When he got to turn 1, he was unable to turn the automobile.
Dick Trickle is on pit road, and the number 11 car of Jeff Bodine is moving slowly through the 3rd and 4th corners on the way to pit road. Now, here's a replay, and we'll back it up so we can show you the exact sequence of events.
Now, this is coming off of turn 4. Trickle's car smoking as it came off of the turn. And
Bodine got together with Dave Marcus, the blue automobile, and it did something with the right front. The tire might have went flat, and Jeff went right down in turn 1.
That's exactly what happened. Here is another angle of it from our camera in turn number 1. You can see him hit the wall on the main stretch, and that probably was what blew the tire. And then when he came to the corner, it just wouldn't turn, and he hits it again.
And he has driven the car behind the wall now where they're making repairs. Junior Johnson and the crew went to work making repairs.
And there was no caution flag because he got down out of the groove, came on around the racetrack, got down on the inside, so green flag racing continues.
An action-packed afternoon of racing here at Bristol International Raceway, as it always is. Let's take a look now at our Western Auto race recap. Darrell Waltrip leading, has led 37 of the 260 laps at an average speed of 82.5 miles an hour. We've had 8 leaders and 8 lead changes, 10 caution periods for a total of 41 laps, and there are 14 cars that are still on the lead lap. Ernie Irvin, Jeff Bodine, Bobby Hillen, Dale Jarrett, Kyle Petty, all of these guys have led. Sterling Marlin, Dave Marcus under caution, and Darrell Waltrip. Those that have dropped out of competition include Alan Kowicki, Derek Cope, Rob Moroso, Jimmy Means, and Rusty Wallace. And there are several other cars that are behind the wall, but still not officially out of the race yet. And there's the leader, number 17, Darrell Waltrip. Again, the number 42 car of Kyle Petty is 2 laps down in 15th position. So Waltrip showing the way here, looking for win number 12 on the high banks of Bristol International Raceway as 268 laps have been completed. We'll be back with more of our live coverage from Bristol International Raceway. Allendale Mansion in Kingsport, Tennessee, not too far from Bristol, where we are live for the Valleydale Meets 500 Winston Cup race. Is that your house, Benny?
Yeah, well, I just moved in last week.
We're under caution once again for the 11th time this afternoon, and that was for an incident involving Mike Alexander and Bobby Hillen. And Darrell Waltrip is in, Jerry Punch is there.
Jeff Hammond scurries around to the left side. We'll change down the left side tires as he and Eddie Dickerson and the crew now. Sandy Jones changing left side tires, cleaning the grill in the front of the car. And they have now already changed right side. Waltrip is down. Let's check in the Bodine pits up there. Let's check in on Jeff Bodine with Dick Bergeron.
Well, a very unhappy Jeff Bodine sitting behind pit wall with the car up on jack stands. Your version was?
Well, I want to say hi to Kathy, my family, Matt Bear. I'm okay, everyone watching back home, but I want to, you know, a lot of banging's going on out there today. I was doing some, everyone's running into everybody, but believe me, we're doing the best we can with these conditions. The drivers out here aren't at fault. You know, Dave Marcus ran into me, it wasn't his fault. We're running under some very extremely difficult and ridiculous conditions. This track is so bad, you just can't hardly race out there. You're seeing some good racing. That's just a tribute to how good these drivers are and how good this circuit is. But I'll tell you what, there isn't a race driver in the world that should have to race under these conditions. And I'm not blaming Dave. I'm not going to blame anybody for that wreck. It's just the conditions we're under are causing all these problems. I guess, and Dick Trickle was out there smoking, and, you know, I was trying to be careful staying behind him. NASCAR, I think, should have black flagged him, got him out of the way. He was 4 or 5, whatever, laps down. That was a dangerous condition. So all that stuff you see going out there, that isn't the guy's fault, not the guys behind the wheel. They're just trying the best they can to put on a show for everyone watching here. These conditions are ridiculous. We really, I guess, probably shouldn't even be out there.
What's the problem exactly with the racetrack, Jeff?
Well, the bottom groove is gone, normally where we run. It's just, they sealed it or they redid it, they repaved it, and just all the loose rubber just sticks right there. It's kind of like trying to race on roller bearings, so if you get into it, you just slide up. And if a slow car's in front of you, running in front, you're trying to pass him, you go in that stuff on the low side and you just slide right into him. Bad conditions.
Well, that's Jeff Bodine talking about it as his crew tries to repair this car, and this thing is really beat up. You're seeing it on the crew cam worn by Mike Hill today.
Yeah, and some interesting sound coming from there, too, as they're banging and trying to, and there he is wearing the crew cam as he works under the hood of that car, trying to get it back in the race with Jeff Bodine sitting by patiently. Now, they are getting the number 12 car off the racetrack. That is the reason for this caution period. The number 12 car of Mike Alexander and Bobby Hillen came together coming off of the second corner. There is Darrell Waltrip, who continues to be the leader of this race, and the Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance shows that he took 11.2 seconds for that most recent stop. The crew took 21.9 for a total of 33.1 second pit stop for Darrell Waltrip. As far as what that meant, well, he came into the pits well in the lead, and he didn't lose it when he came out. So he is still our leader on lap 279 of this race. Still under caution at Bristol. They're cleaning up the cars in the backstretch and making sure the track is in raceable condition for a restart in just a moment. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, Dr. Jerry Punch, and Dr. Dick Bergman back at Bristol International Raceway. Now, we're going to try to demonstrate what exactly Jeff Bodine is talking about by his complaints about the racetrack. Benny?
Well, we see the dark side of the racetrack. That's where the good groove is. That's where the cars are running. What he was talking about, the slick part of the racetrack, is on the left part of your screen. You see that light-colored asphalt? That is extremely slippery. No one is able to run down there. When they do, the cars slide across the racetrack, like Jeff said, up into the car on the outside. There we see the cameras going all around the corner, all the way off the second corner.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Rick Hendrick with more on this story.
Well, this man must be a bundle of nerves, gentlemen. He has 3 race cars on the racetrack watching him out there, 2 in the top 5. And, Rick, I know you're sitting here just biting your fingernails. It's a little slippery out there.
Well, when you got one running in one corner, one in the other corner, and they're sliding, when a car tries to get down low and can't get any kind of bite at all, they get sideways and they touch. And it's just treacherous out there right now. And I've been holding my breath for a long time.
He'll hold his breath a little more as Darrell Waltrip leads the charge back to the green flag.
Lap 284, and the green flag comes out once again. Darrell Waltrip is the leader of the race. A couple of cars are getting laps back, including Dale Earnhardt. That puts him now only probably about 45 laps down. Kyle Petty is back on the lead lap. There is Waltrip leading Mark Martin and Sterling Marlin. Now, earlier today, before the race, we had some track crew members out working on the racetrack. Now, what are they doing here, guys?
They are scraping the rubber off of the asphalt that was put down there yesterday in the Busch Grand National race and the practice for the Winston Cup after the Grand National race ended.
Again, that was this morning, about 2.5 or 3 hours before the actual race began.
What happens, that rubber comes off the tires as the race cars run across it, they flatten it out, kind of like rolling out dough when you make a pizza or something like that. And when that rubber sticks to the asphalt, it's like hitting a sheet of ice. There's no control over the automobile.
Well, when you're talking at speeds of 130, 140 miles an hour, whew,
and no control.
Yeah.
A classic example of how slick it is. Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott and Ernie Irvin spun out coming off the second corner by themselves.
Right, didn't get touched or anything.
They don't do that, folks. When they spin out, they got help.
There are your first 5 cars are running nose to tail on the racetrack. Michael Waltrip back on the racetrack after many laps in the pits because of an incident he experienced. There's Ernie Irvin bringing up the tail on this 5-car progression that we see. Let's go to Dick Bergman with more on this track situation, the sealer they put down on the surface. Dick?
Well, Bob, they put down about 150 gallons of sealer before the racing weekend, and they do that with a spray procedure. They start at the bottom of the thing, and they spray the sealer up. Larry Carrier, the guy that owns the racetrack, is in charge of these sorts of things, and he says that he knows what he's doing because he's had 30 years of it. But interestingly enough, although many of the racetracks also use sealer, they don't talk back and forth between each other to figure out which one is the right one, which one isn't. The sealer that's down here right now, Carrier says is a good one because it's
It's an oil-based sealer, but it's got about 5% latex. And he was counting on the sealer giving him extra traction. So it's not that they're not trying. They are trying. It just hasn't worked out as well as they might like to. The other interesting point is there's an awful lot of rubber buildup on the speedway. And there's nothing you can do about that.
Fellas, we mentioned that last caution was brought out when Mike Alexander spun off of turn 2. Also involved in that was Bobby Hillen, who had led this race quite a bit in the Snickers Buick. Bobby is behind the wall now. They're still working on that car, so unfortunate day for him who had run so strong.
Mark Martin is in second position at the moment in car number 6. We ask him, why is it so hard to avoid trouble here on these high banks of Bristol International Raceway?
It's the speed versus the size of the racetrack. It makes changing directions impossible, or virtually impossible. You have to have time to slow the car down to make a change in direction.
So there's an explanation of just how difficult it is to stay out of trouble here on this racetrack. Mark Martin has been doing an excellent job, however, this afternoon, and currently finds himself in second position, dropping back just a little bit to our leader, Darrell Waltrip, but on the other hand, he's pulling away slightly from the third place car driven by Sterling Marlin.
This is the best Darrell Waltrip has run this year, folks.
Absolutely. You know, last night on Speed Week, hope you got to see it, we ran a comment that Darrell made earlier in the year about how he felt so confident going into this year they could win on every racetrack. It hasn't been quite that way this year. He has had one top 10 finish. That was at Rockingham at 6th. But by and large, a very disappointing season for Darrell Waltrip. But he's looking good here this afternoon. Now, we'll replay the reason for our most recent caution a few laps ago. This was the two-car incident involving Mike Alexander and Bobby Hillen. And the 75 car of Rick Wilson didn't know what to do, but he did it right.
Well, he did. Barely got by. It's kind of like Mark Martin was talking about. You can't slow down fast enough. You just got to drive down through there and hope you can avoid the accident when you get to where it is.
Here's a battle for third position now as Ricky Rudd, Ernie Irvin have both closed in on Sterling Marlin in car number 94. And the 6th car appears to be slowing down now as Sterling Marlin has closed right in on Mark Martin.
Yeah, he was a second or so ahead of that group not long ago, so he is definitely off the pace of what he was earlier. Now, can they get by him even though he's off the pace a little bit? It's still a one-group racetrack.
Dick, what's wrong with the 6th car?
Well, he almost spun out coming off the 4th turn 2 laps ago, Bob Jenkins. He just got that thing right out sideways. And the instant before that happened, he radioed his crew and he said, hey, guys, I need a little bit of wedge back. I guess he sure does, because that was about as close as I've seen anyone come this afternoon to losing it and still being able to hang on to it.
Well, he is struggling. However, he is hanging on to second position as this stacked up group of cars behind him have been able to pass. Now, there are 6 cars here running nose to tail, and 5 of them are in the lead lap. Morgan Shepherd at number 15 is not on the lead lap. Here's Ernie Irvin's progression. He started on the pole, fell back to 28th after a spin, moved up to 13th, and now, at the end of 303 laps, he finds himself in 5th position.
Now, coming up on that group of cars, those 6, it's so pretty to see them go through the high banks here, but you might be able to see the blue car come into the picture. Dave Marcus is catching that crowd.
There, of course, is Dale Jarrett in car number 21. There's the blue car of Dave Marcus, and indeed, Dave is catching up, and he is on the lead lap, and this has been one of Dave Marcus's best performances in a long time.
No question about it. It was announced in Darlington last week that he picked up sponsorship for the balance of the year from the Big Apple supermarket.
So Dave Market with a little bit of money to work with, and he is making it pay off for him this afternoon. We've got less than 200 laps to go before the end of this race. We're on lap number 306 on this bright, sunshiny, yet cool Sunday afternoon. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Bobby Hillen.
Harry Hyde and the crew are trying to get the Vickers Buick repaired. Bobby, what's the damage of the car?
Well, we knocked some of the front end up into the radiator. Before that, they've got to straighten everything back out.
It's very difficult to hear, but they've lost a lot of the front end. They were replacing the radiator part. Bobby with a full face helmet, ready to get back out here momentarily.
Yeah, it's hard enough to hear under normal circumstances down there without the noise, or with all the noise, and then speaking through the full-face helmet makes it even more difficult. But Bobby Hillin is waiting for them to get his car back on the racetrack. So it is still a lead held by Darrell Waltrip. There he is, and he is pulling away from the second-place car driven by Mark Martin. We'll show you the top 10 as they currently stand here in the Valleydale Meets 500, being led by the number 17 car of Darrell Waltrip. So we'll take a break, and we'll be back with more of our live coverage right after these messages. At Bristol, where Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 leads. Chevrolet has won the 27 out of the last 37 races here, and Waltrip has his Chevrolet in front right now. Is there any particular reason why Chevy performs so well on this track?
I was going to say that there's more of them there is Fords, but we're talking about Chevrolets. We're not talking about Pontiacs, General Motors, and the rest, and Oldsmobiles. I don't know.
I think it has a great deal to do with who's racing which brand of car.
I think you may be right, yeah. Darrell and Dale Earnhardt are both so successful on this racetrack. Bill Parsons is back in the race in car number 33 after spending many laps in the pits, and we're watching now from his bumper cam as he is passed by the leader, Darrell Waltrip. And here's the helmet cam now that's being worn by Phil. You can see that Darrell is pulling away from him. Let's check in with the other in-car cameras and find out how they are doing or what they are doing. Here's the Phillips 66 in-car camera being driven by Dick Trickle. He's still out there in competition despite a problem earlier in the race. Spun into the wall in turn 2. And Michael Waltrip has been in and out of the pits, and he is currently in it once again. He also hit the wall in turn number 4. So Michael Waltrip continues to wait on repairs to be made to his car. Meanwhile, look at this. This is the battle now for third position.
Yeah. Sterling Marlin in the blue car, number 94, running in third position, and a freight train behind him. That's Ricky Rudd in car number 5, Ernie Irv in car number 4, Dale Jarrett in car number 21.
Jerry Punch with more on Ricky Rudd.
I spoke to Ricky Rudd in the lobby of the hotel this morning. He was very optimistic about his chances today. It's the same car they set on the pole with that finished third at Richmond early in the year, but they lost their race motor yesterday in the practice session in the morning. They replaced it with another powerful Waddell Wilson motor, and Ricky said, we may not be strong early on, but when the track comes to us, we'll be up front. And I believe he was right.
Well, indeed, he is up front, and very much a possible winner here this afternoon. While we watch this action on the racetrack, let's first of all show you drivers out of the race and also talk about Mike Staley. Remember Mike Staley? He was the guy in Daytona during the ARCA race that was struck by a car and sent flying into the air. Well, we've just heard from him by the telephone, and he indicates that he's going to be out of the hospital on Easter weekend and back home with the family, and we certainly want to wish Mike the best in his recovery, and we hope to see him when we travel to Daytona for the Pepsi 400 on 4th of July weekend.
That is great news. And I want to say hello to my mom. She's been in the hospital all week up in Southville, Michigan, and maybe staying another 2 or 3 days. Mom, get out of there because you got to come down and see the Wilkesboro race.
And, of course, our condolences to the Harry Gant family, and my condolences to Jim Hendrick's family.
And let's say hello, too, to Dennis Punch, who is the man at the races for Busch in the Busch Grand National Circuit. Until yesterday, he had not missed a Busch Grand National race since they started back in 1982. Dennis is in the hospital in Charlotte, North Carolina. Certainly wish him the best as well.
And we move back into the line and pick up on the number 28 car of Davey Allison, the number 1 car of Terry Labonte. That's the 8th and 9th positions there as Davey runs in 8th and Terry Labonte in 9th spot.
Bob, it appears as if Sterling Marlin is holding that crew up a little bit. I think Ricky Rudd could run a little faster, and Ernie Irvin and Dale Jarrett, but they just simply can't pass. And the rest of that crew have caught up to him back there now.
Let's go to Dick Berggren with a comment on this battle.
Well, it's a good battle, but it seems to be awfully hard to pass up here. One guy who's enjoying watching the race this afternoon probably would rather watch it from behind the wheel. Rusty Wallace, how do you get by a car this afternoon?
Tell you what, times are getting rough for some reason, but they're trying to get the car ready for me right now to try to get back out. I don't know if they'll be able to or not, but it's amazing what the racetrack's doing. There's only one group out there right now. It's all the way at the top of the wall. Looks like it's followed the leader through turn 1 and 2. Well, I can't see what's happened down there in turn 3 and 4, but I know it's going to be pretty hairy.
Rusty Wallace doing what most of the fans do here this afternoon. And it's a huge crowd that's assembled. Every seat in this place is full, and they are all watching, waiting for something to happen this afternoon at Bristol.
57,800 people, as a matter of fact, a record attendance for the Valleydale 500. We'll be back here later in the year when these guys run under the lights. Boy, is that an exciting show.
Oh, it really is.
There's a pretty exciting show right there. 3 abreast coming off the second corner.
Dave Marcus went low. Terry Labonte went high to pass Dick Prickle in the middle. And here's Dick Prickle's in-car camera now as we see him being passed by Rick Mass in the Raven Boats number 2. Davey Allison in car number 28. Still has his hands full, fending off the challenge of number 1, Terry Labonte. Battle for 8th spot. Meanwhile, it's still a lead being held by Darrell Waltrip in car number 17. He has things well to himself. He has almost a full straightaway advantage on Mark Martin in car number 6.
He's about 4.5 seconds ahead of Mark Martin, and Mark Martin has pulled away from Sterling Marlin after he almost spun there earlier that Dick Berggren pointed out. He has pulled away from Mark Martin by about 4 seconds, so Darrell Waltrip's about 8 seconds ahead of the third place car.
Well, we've talked all race long about how difficult this racetrack is. Our question to Darrell Waltrip, is there anything easy about this racetrack?
It's kind of ironic that Darlington and Bristol fall back-to-back because they have a lot of similarities. The degree of difficulty for both racetracks is about a 10. So when you just finished one week and you think, glad to get Darlington behind me, and then all of a sudden, man, I got to go to Bristol. So it's a difficult racetrack, and of course, the intensity here is another factor. You got a little bitty circle with 30-odd cars, 36 cars, I guess, going 120 miles an hour around a little bitty circle. So obviously, when things happen, they happen quickly.
He's talking about a difficulty factor of 10. That's on a scale of 1 to 8.
Somebody described this racing as jet fighters in a gymnasium, and boy, that is pretty accurate. You can see that Darrell Waltrip now has closed in on Kyle Petty as he's trying to put Kyle a lap down. Kyle is running in 12th position at the moment and is the last car indeed on the lead lap. So Darrell Waltrip showing the way here in Bristol's Eastern Tennessee, the Valleydale 500. We'll be right back. This Track Fact is brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.
There are basically 2 different chassis setups available to a Busch Grand National or Winston Cup team. Now, we're not talking about Ford, Chevrolet, Buick, Pontiac, etc. What we're talking about is front and rear steer. And we've talked about that before, but we're going to try to show you what we actually mean. The rear steer setup is the chassis setup of the 70s and early 80s. And actually, all the steering mechanism here, the center link, the tie rods, are to the rear of the A-frame and ball joint. Now, what you're actually doing when you're steering the car with a rear steer car, you're actually pulling the tires back and forth to turn the car. The front steer component, the chassis set up for possibly the late 80s, early 90s, is where all the tie rods and steering linkage is in front of the A-frame and ball joint. Here, with the front steer car, you're actually pulling the tires back and forth. You're pulling them with the front steer car. Now, the front steer car gives the driver a sense that the car is a lot tighter on the racetrack. Certain drivers like that feeling. Darrell Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, and Mark Martin use the front steer variety. The rear steer, on the other hand, is a lot looser on the racetrack. A driver is more actively involved in turning the wheel. If you like to drive a loose race car and you really like to wrench that wheel, then you'll like the rear steer variety. Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt, and Harry Gant choose this one.
Front steer versus rear steer in Winston Cup competition. Does that favor, either one of those favor this particular racetrack?
I don't think so, Benny. I think it depends on the team and the driver.
Well, Bill Elliott has been running front steer all year. He brought a rear steer to this speedway. Now, whether or not he thinks it favors a rear steer, I don't know. Darrell Waltrip has been trying for 10 laps to get to lap Kyle Petty, and he's been unable to do it. And while he's been doing that, trying to get by him, look, Mark Martin has closed up an entire straightaway. He is on the back bumper of Darrell Waltrip.
Waltrip has just been trying everything that he knows how to do to lap Kyle Petty. Now here he is moving inside of Kyle here on the main straightaway. Meanwhile, this battle for third. Ernie Irvan and Dale Jarrett are together here on the main straightaway. Ernie Irvan keeps going, so does Dale Jarrett. I believe Dale came out on the short end of that, although Ernie's car is also damaged pretty badly. There is a caution period out. As Ernie Irvan and Dale Jarrett were battling for that 6th position or 5th position, they came together in turn 4.
Well, they had been battling for a long, long time. Jarrett had gotten up and under him several times and just had not been able to make the pass. And this time they really got together coming off of that turn.
Ooh, Dale got airborne there for a moment. The rear end of the car got way up in the air. And from another angle.
Going in turn 3, Dale Jarrett alongside Ernie. And they touch, and they just never are unable to get the cars unhooked. And Ernie comes in the wall, hits the wall with the right front, bounces off, catches the rear of the Dale Jarrett automobile.
Darrell Waltrip is in the pits. Cherry Punch is right there.
Routine caution flag stop for the leader, Darrell Waltrip. They have made a 4-car change. His car now down and away. Mark Martin also on pit road. Let's check in with Dick Berggren. Dick?
Well, I'm a little surprised. Somebody tried taking 2 tires here in order to gain track position, but they didn't. Both Waltrip and Mark Martin took 4 tires. And so they're going to go right back out again in the same order that they were running before. Meanwhile, the number 4 car, Ernie Irvan, boy, the left side of that car is well stove in. They are really beat up, trying to get some sheet metal out of the left front tires so they can get back on the racetrack again. This thing looks like it's been in a war, a gang fight. Somebody forgot the gang. It's just all torn up. It really is.
Yeah, Ernie's had a tough afternoon. He takes the car back out of the racetrack, though, and look at the body work on that. Dale Jarrett in for a pit stop. Here's Jerry.
Well, here's part of the gang working on the Citgo Ford for Dale Jarrett. Bob Johnson and the crew now peeling some of the sheet metal away. Part of the right front nose piece has been sheared away from the Ford Thunderbird. They are changed right side tires. Now Eddie Wood and Leonard Wood. Eddie Wood going up there to work with Bob Johnson as they begin to use a 5-pound hand sledgehammer to try to beat some of the sheet metal away. Trying to make sure the tires are clear. Dale keeps the car revving. He is talking in the radio to the crew chief here and car owner Glenn Wood. And they're now 6 tails to go, and they're watching for the pace car, but Dale's down and away.
So Dale Jarrett moves out onto the racetrack. Dick Berggren is in the Ernie Irvan pit. Dick, what you got for us?
What I got is a tire that Ernie Irvan tried to run around the racetrack on. Actually, he did. He managed to run around the racetrack a couple of laps on this thing. It is just all cut up. Incidentally, most of the competitors use an inner liner on both the right front tire and the right rear tire as well. Several use them on only one, but nobody uses them on the left. Here's a tire that had no inner liner, and as you can see, it didn't hold air, and it didn't hold air for fair. And right behind me now, Ernie Irvan back in the pit area, trying to repair the sheet metal damage on the left front of his automobile.
Indeed, the crew working now on the right side of the car, and also they're going to work on the left front of the car, trying to get that bodywork pulled away from the tire so that they get Ernie back in competition. But look at the damage on that race car. Work continuing as they try to get that front bumper pulled away or even removed from the car. Let's take a look again at the incident involving Ernie and Dale.
This was about the 3rd time in the last 10 laps that Jarrett had gone on the inside of Irvan, but he didn't get quite far enough up there. He hit Irvan coming off of the turn. Both Irvan goes into the wall, and when he comes off, he clips Jarrett and spins him around. But they both keep going. Both have been in the pits. Irvan twice, Jarrett only once.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with Lynn Wood, assessing the damage on that 21 car.
Well, Dale has had the car in, and they're bringing the car back in right now, and Lynn is sitting here watching it. Lynn, how bad is the car hurt?
We think it's just sheet metal damage. They're working on the right front now, and hopefully it didn't knock a toe in out or anything.
The car, Dale said the track is very, very slippery out there trying to pass.
Yeah, when you fall in a car like that, it's hard to pass them, and you just got to take most any opportunity you can, and they just got together.
Sheet metal damage, hopefully that may be all it is for Dale Jarrett.
Well, Dale has given that car a very good run here this afternoon in the substitute role for Neil Bonnet, as Neil recuperates from those injuries suffered last weekend at Darlington International Raceway. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Here's a green flag. We go back to racing at the Valleydale 500 on lap 361. Darrell Waltrip is the leader. Mark Martin is second. Ricky Rudd third. Sterling Marlin fourth. And Terry Labonte is running in fifth position. So before that caution, Darrell Waltrip had a heck of a time trying to lap Kyle Petty. He doesn't have that concern right now. What he does have to be concerned with is the Mark Martin, Ricky Rudd, Sterling Marlin, Terry Labonte challenges.
Wow. Wow. Oh, this is unbelievable.
I'm telling you, they're just like they're hooked together with a chain, running that close. And when somebody gets a little bit out of shape, it triggers a major incident. That Terry Labonte car has been up there just about all day. We haven't talked about him very much, but Terry Labonte, who we did mention last night in Speed Week, is having an off season so far after a second place at Daytona. Certainly has got his act together for this race. Terry Labonte in the number 1 Skoll car. Several cars running very slowly on the racetrack. Ernie Irvan, Jeff Bodine, and Mike Alexander. The leaders pass by on the high side of the track at race speed. Here's a Big A Auto Parts pit stop performance on Mark Martin. Look at the 9.5 driver time. That's about the best we've seen all day. That means it only took him 9.5 seconds to decelerate and then accelerate out of the pits. It took the crew 23.8 seconds to make the necessary fuel and tire changes. And as far as his performance and what it meant, well, he came into the pits in second position, and that's where he is right now. Mark Martin from Batesville, Arkansas, running second to Darrell Waltrip, right ahead of Ricky Rudd.
Dave Marcus, who has had such a good run here today, is in the pits right now with an unscheduled pit stop. He was still in the lead lap. Let's go to the pits and Jerry Punch.
Well, they had cut a left front brake line then, and he had no brakes while they were under caution. They came in and repaired the brake line. Now he does have brakes, but apparently he's developed a severe vibration on the Big Apple Market Chevrolet. They have come back in and it will take time on the green to change all 4 tires. A tough race for Dave Marcus.
Indeed, he has been at least in the top 15 just about all afternoon, was running in the top 10 for quite a while. And before this problem developed, he was 11th. But now, with the work going on in the pit area and the cars passing by lapping him, Dave Marcus drops down several positions. But moving the Big Apple Markets car back out onto the speedway. Dave Marcus, there are 10 cars, by the way, that are on the lead lap here with 371 circuits completed. There's the leader, Darrell Waltrip at number 17, followed by Mark Martin. Then Ricky Rudd, Sterling Marlin, and Terry Labonte. Running in 6th position is Ken Schrader. 7th is Kyle Petty. 8th, the number 75 car, Rick Wilson. 9th is Davey Allison, and in 10th position is Dale Jarrett. Darrell Waltrip could really use this win. Again, we talked earlier about how he had such high hopes going into this season, and things have not gone all that well for him. But now, this Tide Chevrolet is really performing well.
Not all that well might be the greatest understatement of 1990, because it has been miserable for Darrell Waltrip so far.
Mark Martin, though, staying right on his back bumper.
And Ricky Rudd not far behind. Sterling Marlin.
The first 5 are running very close together on the racetrack, being very cautious at this point. So we've still got 125 laps to go in this race.
Well, we've got an extreme condition this afternoon. The racetrack is basically one groove. It's very slippery, and it takes a very patient driver to be able to get around. There are 5 very patient race car drivers. That's right. Running 1 through 5.
Yeah, we've seen some of the lesser experienced drivers. Dale Jarrett, one of them, he made a mistake trying to pass Ernie Irvan on the low side of the racetrack, even though he was being held up. He knew he had the race car to go, but you know, you try that, and it got him and Ernie Irvan both in trouble. And we've seen some others this afternoon that have been impatient as well.
Well, course, we always pride ourselves in showing you where the best battle is on the racetrack, and basically this is it right here. Everybody else is sort of running in single file formation and not doing a whole lot of racing, but these first 5 cars that are locked together here, definitely the best battle on the racetrack at the moment. You know, we've talked about how slick the track is, and we have failed to mention that maybe one reason for that is the guys didn't get an opportunity to get some rubber laid down on the track last Friday because of the rain that washed out the practice and the qualifying.
Rained all day Friday. You know, the last 3 weeks in the Winston Cup race, the first day has been rained totally out. But I guess that's better than Sunday.
The number 21 car of Dale Jarrett, a former leader of this race, is still on the lead lap. Now, he is in 10th position, the last car on the lead lap, but nevertheless, Dale Jarrett is giving this car a very, very good run.
It doesn't have the strength now that it had before. Evidently, he's bent something in the crash with Ernie Irvin because it just isn't up to speed.
No, it's not running as fast as it did early in the race, having trouble now moving around Big Trickle.
And it's our understanding, Ned, that Dale has a Winston Cup ride for maybe 5 races with another team that's being formed.
Yes, he has a situation starting with the World 600, the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte in May, and he's scheduled to run 4 or 5 or maybe 6 races, and he would do it out of his Busch Grant National shop in Newton, North Carolina.
And the owner would be
Gary Becker.
Now he's from where? Charlotte or where's he from?
I think from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Guess he's a good friend of Felix Sabates, who owns, of course, Kyle Petty's car.
That is correct. A good friend of Rick Hendricks. Dale certainly appreciates the opportunity that they're giving him.
Right now, he's running just ahead of the Dave Marcus car, number 71. Back to the leaders, meanwhile. Continuing to run in single file formation. They're passing the number 30 car of Michael Waltrip. And since we have an opportunity to mention him, let me ask you guys, how in the world can a guy, a race driver, jump back into a car and run on the same track at faster speeds than he was running the day before and having such a terrible crash? I don't understand how a guy can do that.
I don't either.
Well, you did it.
I did it a few times, but I don't either.
Well, I don't know. And sometimes it might be the best medicine for a race driver is to get back in a car the next day. Dale Jarrett has just slowed dramatically on the racetrack. He must have cut a tire or something has happened to him.
There we see Darrell Waltrip, our leader. He's put a few car links on the 6 car of Mark Martin. 3 or 4 car links. And there is Dale Jarrett in the pits. They're going to work on the car the right sides like he has a flat tire, Ned.
Yeah, the car went very high in turn 3 than at the time before, and evidently the tire went down.
So Dale Jarrett has tires changed on the right side of the car. They've got him on, and there he goes back out onto the racetrack. Just a little more than 100 laps to go in the Valleydale Meets 500 here at Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee. We'll take another break and be right back for more. Many things to see and do here at Daytona, USA. A truly interactive display on the grounds of Daytona International Speedway. They call it the Ultimate Motorsports Attraction, and that's where Benny and I are today hosting this NASCAR marathon. We're at Bristol in April of 1990. Darrell Waltrip is still leading, but a couple of guys are looking pretty good, particularly Davey Allison and Mark Martin.
But Davey Allison is pitting on the backstretch, and folks, you hear us every time we do a race at Bristol, at Martinsville, at Darlington, the racetracks that have pits on the back, and that back pit is a kiss of death.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't win the race from there. Will Davey? Will Mark? Will DW? Well, let's find out as we go back to the last 115 laps of the Valleydale Meets 500 from April of 1990. We're under our 13th caution flag of the afternoon here at Bristol. We're about to go back to green in one more lap. This most recent caution was brought about by Dave Marcus, who spun over in turn number 2, tapped the wall, and Jerry Punch offers more.
They're trying to repair some sheet metal in the front of the car, Bob. Apparently the brake problem continues to plague Marcus. He did not have brakes going into corner. The car vibrated. He couldn't get it slowed, spun and tagged the wall. He is sitting here on pit road trying to get some of the sheet metal in front. Some of the steering parts have been bent in the front of the car. So it'll be a lengthy stay for Marcus on pit road as the pace car surfaces and we get ready to go back to green.
All right, Dave Marcus with repairs being made to that car. The crowd rises to its feet once again as the pace car ducks off the racetrack, and we go back to racing. The leader is Davey Allison. After the pit stops, second place is Mark Martin. Third is Darrell Waltrip. Fourth place belongs to Kyle Petty, who is back on the lead lap, and fifth is Sterling Marlin. Sixth, Terry Labonte. Seventh would be the number 75 car of Rick Wilson.
It's the Dinner Barrel Food Line Oldsmobile. And Morgan Shepherd, he got a lap back up on the last caution flag and is trying desperately to get by the Davey Allison automobile, the Texaco car, so he can get another lap back. Let's see if he can get by him.
And if Morgan would pass Davey Allison and get back on, get another lap back, he would be on the lead lap. Currently, there are 9 cars on the lead lap. Here's Rick Wilson in car number 75. You can see him behind the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt, and ahead of Dale Earnhardt is Dale Jarrett. Here comes Rick Wilson to the low side of Earnhardt coming out of the 4th corner. He'll not be able to pass there yet, but as they go into corner number 1, Rick Wilson does pass Dale Earnhardt. Now Earnhardt drops to the low side of the racetrack and allows the faster traffic to pass by, including Ricky Rudd and Ken Schrader. Nice move by Dale Earnhardt, who is many, many laps down. He didn't want to get in anybody's way, so just drop low on the racetrack and let the faster cars pass on the right.
Rick Wilson's driven up down the back bumper of Dale Jarrett, Sitco Ford.
Dale is now 2 laps down on the field, shown in 11th spot. Rick Wilson, a former pole position winner here at Bristol. Uh-oh, he and Dale touch coming off the 4th corner. Wilson passes. Now Ricky Rudd looking for an opportunity to pass Dale Jarrett.
So he's going to try the same thing Rick Wilson did.
Let's see if it works for him. Not that lap. Meanwhile, behind him, Ken Schrader, the white car, number 25, is Ken Schrader. Also, he's in 9th position.
Last car on the lead lap. 9 cars now in the lead lap. Morgan Shepherd 10th, 1 lap down. He's running right behind Davey Allison.
Rudd looking inside of Dale Jarrett now, coming off the 2nd corner. There is Ken Schrader in the number 25 Kodak Chevrolet. We have 2 Rick Hendrick cars running here together, and we have a Rick Hendrick car running toward the front of the field. As a matter of fact, in 3rd position. That, of course, Darrell Waltrip on the right side of your screen. Mark Martin's 2nd place car is ahead of Darrell, and then the lap car of the number 15 car of Morgan Shepherd. Let's go to Dick Berkman, who has more on Mark Martin.
Well, that last round of pit stops, Bob, is extremely interesting and extremely important as well. They've all now got enough fuel to go all the way. Mark Martin's guys desperately wanted to be the first ones back out on the racetrack to have track position. Since you can go all the way if there's no more cautions, track position could be the difference between winning and losing. They took 4 tires. So did Darrell Waltrip. Mark Martin's guys beat him. They had quite a little victory celebration down here. The guy who's running in 3rd spot behind him, actually running in 4th spot behind them, Kyle Petty, only took 2 tires. Also to try to gain track position. Davey Allison, your leader, is pitted on the backstretch. Toughest possible place to go. I'll bet you he never went in the pits at all.
You're right, Dick. He didn't. He stayed out there, and of course that gave him the lead, and he's doing a good job of keeping the lead.
So Davey Allison laps Mike Alexander at number 12 and hangs on to the lead. Davey Allison, his best finish here at Bristol has been a 4th on 2 different occasions. Is your team starting to turn things around now after a rather slow start?
You know, guys on the crew have been working real hard. They haven't gotten their enthusiasm level down, which it would have been real easy to lose interest this year the way that our season started off, but they've stayed pretty enthusiastic, and they work real hard, and things have started to turn around for us. Now we've just got to keep things going in that direction. You know, we can't sit back and rest on our laurels and fall back into the same old rut again.
Well, Davey Allison had his best finish of the year last year at Darlington when he finished 3rd, and now he is the leader of this race. There you can see his finishes in 1990, and he was relieved by Hut Strickland at Rockingham after a fainting spell, but obviously no health problems for Davey Allison at the moment.
You know, they must have been clocking him all during the race and determined that he could run as fast as the leaders, but was never able to get track position to prove that. So Robert Yates evidently made the decision, hey, let's leave him out front one time, get in front, see what he can do. Looks like he's making the most of it.
Best battle on the track is between Mark Martin and the number 17 of Darrell Waltrip. However, back in the pack, a pretty good battle also between the number 42 car of Kyle Petty and 94 Sterling Marlin. This is for 4th position.
Sterling Marlin has been under Kyle Petty a couple of times coming off turn 4, but we know that don't work. We've seen that tried many, many times this afternoon.
The number 1 car of Terry Labonte and the 75 car of Rick Wilson are also on the lead lap. There's Michael Waltrip at number 30, who is still in the race, although well off the pace. And here comes the Labonte and Rick Wilson cars, closing in on Sterling Marlin.
And Dale Jarrett finally pulled over and let Ricky Rudd go by. He's beginning to gain on that pack of cars. He also let Tim Schrader go by, so they were racing for position, so Ricky Rudd now on the move.
Sterling Marlin all over Kyle Petty. Both of these guys have had up and down days, but they are still both on the lead lap, contesting 4th position.
Drew's going right to the top of the racetrack, isn't it?
Boy, it is way up there now, as Dick Berggren predicted it would be at the very beginning of the race.
Ooh,
now,
a little bump there.
Sterling Marlin bumping Kyle Petty in turn number 4. No harm, no foul. Just letting him know he's back there and would certainly like to take that position away.
And that's exactly what it is for, to say, hey, I'm back here and I'm outrunning you, just to intimidate the guy in front. Of course, the guy in front knows he can't pass him.
Back to the leader, meanwhile. It is Davey Allison. There he is on the right side of your screen. And here comes 2nd and 3rd position. Again, the 15 car of Morgan Shepherd is not on the lead lap, but the number 6 car of Mark Martin and the 17 of Darrell Waltrip are, and they're battling for that 2nd spot. We'll be right back. Bristol International Raceway in the Valleydale 500 Winston Cup race. 422 laps completed. And the leader is Davey Allison. 2nd place, Mark Martin. And 3rd place is Darrell Waltrip.
And Mark Martin has got by Morgan Shepherd, also Darrell Waltrip, and they've got their eyes set on 28, Davey Allison. A couple of Fords up front.
Indeed, Mark Martin and his Ford closing in on Davey Allison. And we asked Mark Martin, is Bristol International Raceway a good track for the Ford Thunderbird?
If you work hard enough, there's no such a thing as if having one be a disadvantage, whether it be a GM car or a Ford, or it doesn't matter. To me, I believe that it's what you do with what you have that makes a winner, and we have the things, all the tools that we need and all the resources to make our Ford win, no matter if we go to a road course, a half mile, a quarter mile, or 2.5 miles. It doesn't matter. But you do have to know what you're doing with your parts and pieces to make any of them win. So it's a good racetrack for us.
Well, obviously, Mark Martin and Jack Roush and the whole team have got their parts and pieces working very well for Mark Martin here this afternoon. Running right now on the back bumper of Davey Allison, and on the back bumper of Mark Martin is Darrell Waltrip. These 3 cars, the first 3. Here's now Martin trying low off of corner 4. That isn't going to work, and Darrell said, go on down there, because it isn't going to work for you.
Yeah, he hopes he'll stay down there, though, and if he goes down in front of him, he hopes he doesn't slide back up into him.
Tell you what, if Mark Martin could get that low groove working, he could lap the field in about 20 laps. But unfortunately, I don't think he can.
Yeah, look at Ricky Rudd coming down on the inside of Rick Wilson. Almost made a pass, but he just couldn't quite make it work.
This is for 7th position. Terry Labonte, number 1, is 6th. Then comes Wilson in 75, and the number 5 car of Ricky Rudd. Ooh, Rudd sliding high in turn 4.
He's trying to get a run off the corner, and he's on the inside.
May have it.
No, not able to make it.
Too slick down there, too.
Move high and stay in single file because of Mike Alexander's slow on the bottom of the racetrack there.
They're really driving their hearts out there, Bob.
Must be very frustrating when you know you've got a faster car, but just can't take the chance of getting out and getting yourself in trouble.
That's exactly right. Here's Rudd on the bottom again, but just can't accelerate off that corner.
But you're getting near the end of the race now, guys. So
now the leaders are running into some slower traffic. Here's Davey Allison closing in on the number 8 car of Bobby Hillen, the 6th car of Mark Martin, and the 17 of Walter. They are really going at it.
Yeah, and I started to say there, we're getting near the end of the race, so you've got to start taking some chances now. You've been patient up to this point, but now's the time that you start taking chances, and you got to make passes.
Here's Darrell on the inside. He's on the inside of Mark Martin. Not able to make the pass. I know I got a little excited, folks, but everybody here jumped up, so I got excited.
That's right. The entire grandstand stood up. Great 3-car battle for the lead. Let's go down to Davey Allison's pit. Will Dick Bergeron is stationed.
Robert, have you got enough fuel to go all the way? Yes, we're not worried about fuel. Right now, probably, we'd like for it to go green because we're pitting on the back straightaway. And, you know, if we have to pit, we'll come out in the tail of things. So right now, we're hoping everything can hang on just like it is.
Well, Darrell Walter just moved into second, and he's chasing your guy. Can you hold him off?
We'll watch that.
Reverend Yates is going to watch it, and so are we. This thing is boiling down to quite a finish. Bob?
Darrell Waltrip made a neat move on Mark Martin in the 3rd corner to take away that 2nd position, and now Waltrip looks for the chance to go into the lead by passing Davey Allison.
This is how he did it. Got a run off the 2nd corner, got alongside Mark Martin, and had the position going in the corner. Now he's going to try on the inside of Davey. Can't make it. He's been trying that move. It isn't working.
Oh, and look at this. Ricky Rudd, Terry Labonte, and Kyle Petty are slugging it out on the racetrack for position.
And Ricky Rudd has passed the 75 car of Rick Wilson, and also the 1 car. We just saw him go around with Terry Labonte, now working on Kyle Petty.
There's action all over the racetrack. Here's the battle for the lead. Waltrip right on the back bumper of Davey Allison, and Mark Martin is there also. Passing Phil Parsons at number 33. Here's Waltrip moving inside.
Well, that car just cut square left down there and stayed. Now, can he stay down there on the inside?
Darrell's going to get him up. Nope.
No, it might cost him 2nd place.
Oh, look at that. He squeezed up between the 2 cars right in front of Mark Martin.
Ooh. But he's found him a way, fellas, that he can pass. He's got a lot of horsepower in that car. Getting up real high and cutting square down to the left and get a good run off of that turn and get up beside him. He'll pass him before too long.
Laps are winding down. We've completed 441. Things settling down here for the moment as Davey Allison tries to hold off Darrell Waltrip and Mark Martin at Bristol. Back at Bristol International Raceway in eastern Tennessee, where the Valleydale Meets 500 has completed 447 laps. Davey Allison still in the lead with Darrell Waltrip 2nd, Mark Martin in 3rd position, 4th is Sterling Marlin, 5th Ricky Rudd, and 6th is Kyle Petty. Now there is an interesting development as we watch whether or not, nope, Darrell isn't going to make a move. So let's go back and look at the number 42 car of Kyle Petty running in 6th position. Something has gone through his windshield on the right side of the car. There's a huge hole on the right side of that windshield. Any speculation, guys?
Well, something has come off of another car or something and just gone through that.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's caved in completely. Let's go to the pits and Jerry Punch.
Well, Gary Nelson was asking Kyle. Kyle has no idea what happened other than the fact that when Ricky Rudd was passing him for 5th place, Kyle heard a loud pop and looked up, and the windshield was just totally in pieces. Now, thank goodness, NASCAR requires a thin layer of Lexan behind the main windshield to keep that from coming closing in on the driver. The safety maneuver. And for Kyle Petty, maybe what allows him to finish the race in Bristol this afternoon.
That is quite a hole in that race car, I tell you. That had gone through the other side. Well, we'll not even talk about that.
If you don't understand what Lexan is, that's bulletproof glass. So that's what the fellas have behind the windshield, just for things that come up off other cars.
Here's Waltrip again, trying to move inside of Davey Allison off the fourth corner. It isn't any better now than it was earlier in the race. Just cannot pass.
He's going up high, getting a good running start down over there and tries to dip down to the inside, but so far he hasn't been able to work on him. He did pass Mark Martin that way, but so far it hasn't worked on Davey Allison.
This has got to be a completely different Bristol International Raceway than Darrell Waltrip has ever run on before. With 11 victories here, you would think that if it was the same track, he would have been able to find the way to get around Davey Allison. But that just isn't the way it is this afternoon.
Darrell Waltrip has always run this racetrack very well on the bottom of the racetrack. But look how well he's adjusted. He's having to run on top of the racetrack, but yet he's doing very, very well up there. It was a matter of an adjustment. The pro that he is, he made that adjustment.
And I certainly didn't want to slight in any way, shape, or form the performance of Davey Allison, because he is the leader right now. And I'll tell you what, he has run a fine race. Dale Jarrett on the racetrack. A little bit of smoke coming from that car.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's engine related or if he has a flat tire or...
Looks like an engine died, Ned, is what it looked like.
He's coming in. He was 2 laps down in 11th position before the problem developed. And that car also looks like it's been through World War III or IV.
Well, they're changing the left side tires. Yeah, that left front tire was flat.
You're right. I thought it was an engine smoke, but it wasn't. It was tire smoke.
Now, he was, as you said, 2 laps down. But the next place car was 5 laps down. He could still possibly stay in the 11th position.
Yep. Davey Allison from Hueytown, Alabama, would like to take this victory to the Alabama gang for Neil Bonnet, who is recovering from the injuries from Darlington last week.
Here's DW on the inside again.
Moves inside. Here he almost pulls alongside of him, but cannot make the pass.
Just can't get traction down there.
Nope.
We've seen it so many times this afternoon.
But as you mentioned a few laps ago, Ned, it's time to forget about holding back. You've got to go for it. This may be it. He pulls alongside of Davey. Nope. I thought he had him there because he was almost alongside of him in the fourth turn, but didn't do it.
You and 42,000 other people.
Well, Davey's doing a good job of protecting that territory.
Yes, he is.
That one groove.
No question about it. Allison is doing a fine job. Morgan Shepherd is the car on the inside. He is, again, 1 lap down in 10th position. So not in the lead serial. Waltrip now off the second corner, peeks inside, running down the backstretch.
And goes hard into the turn.
Yep.
Won't work, though.
Just not able to stick on the bottom well enough if you go on in.
I suppose, since we're going to commercial here, Darrell will take the lead while we are in this break. But we got to pay the bill, so we're going to do it. And we'll see what happens. We'll be back, though, in just a few minutes in the closing stages of the Valleydale 500.
Years in auto racing, from 1948 to 1998.
While we were away, there was no change of lead. Davey Allison continues to hang on to it. The only development while we were away, Mark Martin dropped just a little bit further back from Darrell Waltrip. In fact, has Morgan Shepherd between himself and Darrell. But Darrell is still looking for that opportunity, for that slight bubble from Davey Allison that would allow him to pass on a very slick racetrack.
Morgan Shepherd, the 3rd car in line. We said a moment ago he's a lap down. Well, he had an unscheduled pit stop earlier in the race, lost 2 laps, got one of them back, but that's what he's doing, a lap down. And all of a sudden, Darrell Waltrip has problems. He's losing ground. Morgan Shepherd trying to get by him, but meanwhile, Davey Allison is going away. Here comes Mark Martin by.
Darrell has a problem. The car high on the racetrack allowing Mark Martin to go into second position, and Darrell is going to drop several positions as now here comes Sterling Marlin, Dale Jarrett, Ricky Rudd, and others to pass him by. There is Jeff Hammond and the Tide crew getting set. Jerry, what's wrong?
Apparently he has a tire going down. Jeff Hammond was standing here with me and just jumped down and has run over the pit road as Walter now brings the Tide Chevrolet to a halt. And we'll go to work on the right side. Randy Richardson has the right front tire off. The crew now checking the left side tires. One up top brake to the 3-drive. Winston Cup champion. Changing right side tires. 11 seconds. 11.7 is down and away. 2 right side tires.
Well, they went 1 lap down on that pit stop, and it'll be awfully tough to make that lap up, even if he was able to get a couple of cautions.
A tough break for Darrell Waltrip and his crew chief, Jeff Hammond. And by the way, Jeff has been named the Western Auto Mechanic of the Race for the Valleydale Meets 500.
Wow, what a tough break. Waltrip just cannot get, you know, there's nothing he did today. Nothing. He had a super run. The car was great. He did a great job, but yet in the lineup tomorrow, the finishing positions, no one's going to realize that.
That's right. Here, once again, is the leader, Davey Allison. While we're congratulating people, Jeff Hammond winning Mechanic of the Race award, our congratulations to Mike Hinkle of Murfreesboro, Illinois, 37-year-old gentleman who won the Pontiac Grand Prix because he knew that Darrell Waltrip was the leader at the halfway point. He wins the Right Guard Halfway Challenge and the Pontiac Grand Prix SE. Here's Jerry Punch with a tire off Darrell's car.
Just like what we saw a little earlier when Morgan Shepherd had a problem with his right front tire. A tiny little pinhole puncture here cost Darrell Waltrip a shot at victory here at Bristol.
Boy, it doesn't take much.
Just that simple little thing keeps Darrell perhaps out of victory lane, certainly second position.
Now, there's one fellow that has been moving. That's Ricky Rudd in that yellow car, number 5, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. He has caught Sterling Marlin, who is running in the 3rd position. Rudd was the last car on the lead lap when we restarted after the last caution, which was a while ago, but he has passed some cars. We've talked about how hard it is to pass, but Ricky Rudd is one driver who has passed a number of cars. Let's see what he can do with the 94 car, the Sunoco Oldsmobile to Sterling Marlin.
Marlin is 3rd, and Ricky Rudd is in 4th position. Here's Rudd moving to the inside of Sterling.
They are gaining on the leaders, folks. Not only has he caught Sterling Marlin, but Sterling Marlin is gaining on the leaders. So we're going to have 4 cars here soon in the run for the win.
Battling it out for the win. 483 laps are completed. Davey Allison leads this race. There's the 2nd place car of Mark Martin, who was finally able to get around the lap car, number 15 of Morgan Shepherd. So now clear sailing as Mark Martin closes in on Davey Allison. And here is Ricky Rudd making an attempt on the 94 car. Nothing doing there.
Boy, it is so difficult to move around, but Ricky has found a way to do it. He's passed about 5 cars.
But will he be able to pass Sterling Marlin? There's how close 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are. The Morgan Shepherd car also in there.
Mark Martin looked on the inside of Davey Allison last lap coming off turn 4. Did he find anything out? Let's see. He's on the inside.
Let's see what Mark Martin can do here. He nearly pulls alongside of Davey Allison, but can't make it stick. And Mark Martin still remains in 2nd position. Davey Allison, the leader. Mark Martin running in 2nd position. Mark, of course, won Richmond earlier this year. He finished 2nd at Darlington, last week. He was 5th at Atlanta. Meanwhile, here comes Sterling Marlin closing in on Mark Martin.
Well, he knows he's got to get by Davey Allison soon because he can't start making those, trying to dive on the inside of Davey Allison very soon. When he does, Sterling Marlin will drive up on the outside of him.
And Ricky Rudd right there, too.
Yep, they're going to take the position away from him. So, what do you do in this situation? Do you just stay there?
No, you try everything that you can, but it might be too late, as Benny says, because those cars have caught him right now.
The first 4 cars right together, nose to tail. Allison, Martin, Marlin, Rudd. 10 laps to go. Less than 10 laps to go.
Wow, it is nail biting time. Here comes Mark on the inside. Come on, Sterling. He's going to do it.
Here's Rudd on the inside. Yes. Couldn't make it. Oh, and Mark Martin a little sideways there coming off the second corner. But he holds on to second position. Laps to go.
Tell you what, Dave Allison runs his groove. It's going to be awfully hard for these guys to get by. We've never seen any evidence where Mark Martin would go up and tap somebody. I think if he does happen to hit Dave, it will be strictly by accident.
Coming down, 6 more laps to go of Bristol International Raceway. Davey Allison leads. He's going to be approaching some slower traffic here in a moment. But he'll quickly dispense of Phil Parsons at number 33.
Phil just moves over.
Here's Rudd on the inside of Marlin.
That won't work.
He's going to have to get off the accelerator because he was about to be the meat in a sandwich there.
Looks like traffic might be an advantage to Davey Allison because that's going to keep anybody from diving inside of him. He'll use them strictly as a pick. Rudd once again trying the inside of Sterling Marlin, not able to do it again.
4 more laps to go. 4 to go. Don't go away. Any one of these 4 cars can pull off the victory.
They'll all dive. Oh, here's Sterling Marlin. Look at this.
On the inside of Mark Martin trying to take away second position. He can't make it work either. He had a good run on Mark, but couldn't make it stick. And now Ricky Rudd tries to move to the outside of Sterling Marlin, but that won't work.
Now he looks on the inside. That won't work either.
They come down, and there'll be 2 laps to go. Rudd bumping Sterling Marlin. 2 more laps to go. Next time, they'll get the white flag. The choo-choo train continues. It isn't a drafting train like we'll see at Talladega in May. Now here's Marlin getting a little bit sideways again and Rudd looking, but nope, the white flag is out. 1 more lap to go. Let's see what happens on the last lap. Again, it is Davey Allison.
Oh, Sterling
Marlin spins off of corner number 2. Sterling Marlin spins down the backstretch. Here comes Mark Martin trying to make a move off of corner number 4. It's a drag race.
Wow.
A photo finish. I think Davey Allison won, but I wouldn't say for sure.
I agree. I think he had him by about 3 or 4 inches, but I mean, you know.
Wait a minute. Why are those guys jumping up and down, though? They don't know they won.
That had to be one of the closest, if not the closest finish in NASCAR Winston Cup history. We don't know who won. I think Davey Allison did, but it wasn't by more than 1, 2, maybe 3 inches over Mark Martin.
I think both those guys ought to go to victory lane.
Well, NASCAR, of course, has a camera at the start-finish line, so we'll see.
Let's go to Dick Bergman, who's with Robert Yates.
Well, what did Davey Allison tell you? Who won the race?
Yeah, we're just real happy about this. That Texaco Havoline 4 Thunderbird is great.
You were advertising for a pit crew member. You wanted a crew chief, but you guys, somebody made the decision that you weren't going to pit on that last round. Who did it?
Well, just all the guys that just got together, Tom Eric and Terry and Philip and all the guys, you know, they said stay out, all of them. And, you know, we're a little disadvantaged pitting over here, but the tire was so good, you could about run the whole race on them. And there was just, you know, really wasn't any sense in changing. We had enough fuel to make the distance, and we made the right decision.
Well, while we were talking, right behind us, Ricky Rudd and Sterling Marlin were having quite a to-do. Bob Jenkins, you see what they were doing back there?
Well, everybody was pushing and shoving on the last lap. Here is a replay of the finish, and look at how close it is when they cross the line. Yep, Davey, I think, got him. Here's Jerry Pudge.
Well, Bob, you're right. Now, Timmy Arp has that replay camera here at the start-finish line. Timmy, let's see that last. They come across Martin on the inside. We back it up here, and you see Mark Martin's car. Davey Allison right here. It's probably 12, maybe 10 inches at best, but Allison beats him across, frame by frame advancing here. The video finish goes to Davey Allison.
Man, what a finish of a very exciting afternoon of Winston Cup racing. Mark Martin finishes second to Davey Allison, who held off the challenge at the finish line. Well, there was a lot of excitement in the backstretch on that last lap that set up this situation. Here is a replay of Rudd and Sterling Marlin.
Rudd touched Sterling Marlin. That's why he spun. Ricky Rudd touched the left rear of Sterling's car. Around he goes. and he comes down, hits the inside retaining wall. Not hard, but he did hit it. And then,
while that was happening,
while that was going on, there's Sterling Marlin.
There you can see Sterling, who is not happy with the situation that developed there on the last lap out of the second corner.
He's going down to try to have a word with Ricky Rudd. That's not very smart, Sterling.
Sterling is looking for Ricky to have a word or two with him. But racing is racing, and...
Well, when you get to the short tracks, Bob,
you
never know what to expect.
That's right. Sterling has gone inside of Rudd's hauler. Here's the last lap. The sequence of events that led to this exciting finish. Now we're about to see the spin here in turn number 2 involving Marlin and Rudd.
Yep, Rudd just clips him just a little bit. I think Sterling was a little bit out of shape as he started off of that turn.
Meanwhile, off of corner number 4, Mark Martin makes the final dash to the checkered flag, and he ends up that short by about 3 or 4 inches, and Davey Allison wins. Whew, boy, what an exciting finish. Well, we've got a Victory Lane interview coming up with Davey Allison here at Bristol as the Valleydale Meets 500 is history. Back at Bristol International Raceway, where the Valleydale Meets 500 is over, we go to our road handler winner's circle interview. Here is Dick Berggren.
Well, Davey Allison, that was quite a last lap. Well, I'll tell you, Dick, you know, Mark made a strong charge at me. He was on fresher tires than I was. I knew he was, and I tried to stay right where he needed to be. He still made a strong charge, and it was, I don't think you can get any closer than that, but got to give all the credit to these guys here because they've worked their tails off for me, and they've given me everything I've asked for, and here we are in Victory Lane.
Well, Waltrip also made a strong run at you for a long, long while.
Well, I think he thought I'd slip sooner or later, but my car was working perfect there at the end, and we picked up a little vibration in the right front. I could feel it chattering across the pavement, but I just hung on and stayed right in my groove, and they couldn't do anything from there.
Well, race fans all over America say you can't win from a back pit. Now, when this thing started today, did you think that?
Well, we knew we were going to have to play our cards right, and our car ran better on old tires than it did on new tires, so we elected on that last caution not to pit. We gambled. It paid off.
Well, Davey Allison, very happy in Victory Lane. This does turn around a tough year.
I'll tell you, you know, we started off really bad, but with the third place last week and a win this week, I don't think you can ask for any better turnaround than that. Now we just got to keep it going.
Davey Allison, happy in Victory Lane. Meanwhile, Jerry Punch is caught up with Sterling Marlin. Jerry?
There may be jubilation where you are, but there is frustration here with Sterling Marlin. And Sterling, that last lap was a little bit exciting. What happened out there?
Well, you know, he just spun me out. You know, I had the courtesy to not spin Mark out. I got up under him one time and got out of gas, keep wrecking him, and I thought he'd have the same thing for me. Evidently, he didn't. So, you know, turnabout's fair play. I had a little discussion with him after the race. I think he knows, you know, he knows what I meant.
So you went in the truck and had a little talk with Ricky Rudd. It was a one-groove track most of the day, it looked like.
Yeah, it was. You know, it's you got to have a lot of patience here, and his counterman restrictor plate motors just had to run high, and you couldn't run low a lick, and you know, the snow cold just worked great all day, and I took my time, and wanted to get in position to win the race, and had run them guys down, and then, you know, that happened. So that really adds to frustration right there.
It has been a frustrating day for Sterling Marlin. A tough afternoon after running with the leaders all day. He comes up short on the final lap. It is over here at Bristol, Tennessee, and Davey Allison is in Victory Lane. We'll be back.
Is that big clip causing stale?
Davey Allison wins the Valleydale 500 over Mark Martin in a photo finish. Ricky Rudd third, Terry Labonte fourth, and Rick Wilson finished in fifth position. Let's go to Dick Berggren, who's with Ricky Rudd.
Well, tell us about the incident between you and Sterling Marlin.
Well, I'd rather talk about the race myself. Waddell and I, we had a communication breakdown on that last stop. We were running third, and the caution came out, and I thought he said pit, and he was saying stay out. So that's really where we lost the race at. We came in, and we had to come from dead last back up through the field, and we got back to fourth, and then we got with that lead pack there, run the leaders down, and Sterling, I don't know if he got on the brakes, he got a little sideways or what, but I barely bumped him, and the track is real greasy up there in that corner. He got around. I hate to see that.
Okay, Ricky Rudd here back on his truck. Boy, this place has been just full of people. Jerry Punch, what's going on with you?
We caught up with Mark Martin here. He's having a conversation here with Steve Lloyd, Sterling Marlin's crew chief. Mark, great run for you today.
Thanks, man. The Folgers car performed great all day. We just came up about 6 inches short. I got to be happy for the whole team, you know, Jack Roush and Steve and all the guys were the stars of the show again today. They did the job on pit road that put the car in position in contention to win.
He's quite modest. He did a great job on a slick racetrack. Mark Martin finishing second.
Our congratulations to Davey Allison, winner today of the Valleydale Meets 500 here at Bristol International Raceway in a photo finish over Mark Martin. My thanks to Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, Dr. Jerry Punch, and Dr. Dick Berggren. We'll see you on Speed Week this coming Saturday night. Don't forget Motor Week Illustrated Monday night. For now, this is Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone. Well, it's not too difficult to see why that made our marathon. It was the closest finish in NASCAR Winston Cup history. Davey Allison really overcame several things to win that race. He started 19th in a field of 32. He survived the incident with Rob Moroso, and he won from pitting on the backstretch.
And we always talk about just what a kiss of death it is. But Davey Allison proved you can win from back there. But once again, even in 1990, you had to skip a pit stop. The other cars come in for tires. Allison stayed on the racetrack. Just like today, sometimes they only take 2 tires trying to get that track position, which is so critical.
And that race ended a winless streak for Davey.
It had been in July 1st, I think, 1989, here in Daytona, the Pepsi 400, that Davey Allison had won, so now he's back on track.
And the championship in 1990 went to Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt beat Mark Martin by just a few points. The final race of the year in Atlanta, Mark Martin, remember, borrowed a car from Robert Yates to use trying to win that championship. To no avail. Earnhardt was a champion in 1990.
Well, that's going to do it for our first marathon. Have you had enough of stock car racing for a while?
Yeah, for one day. But next week I'll be ready again.
That's right. You don't have to wait long because part 2 of this marathon will begin at 6:30 Eastern Time on New Year's Eve. And we'll do it all over again, bringing you some of the most memorable races down through the years that we've televised here on ESPN and ESPN2. We'd like to thank everybody at Daytona, USA for their hospitality, and we will see you next weekend. For Benny Parsons, I'm Bob Jenkins. So long from Daytona.